The Louis Diaz podcast.
Ooh, that's when you know it's on.
Yeah, that's well. Welcome to the Louis Diaz podcast, Kirk. Thank you for bearing with me this morning.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to have you here, man. Kirk Pearson, everyone. Kirk Pearson is the host and producer of the Coffee Show with Kirk Pearson,
The Coffee Show with Kirk Pearson.
and you own a cafe, right?
I do, yeah.
Project Zero.
Project Zero.
Just the one cafe?
There's a second one coming.
Oh, right.
But how we know this is, of course, because you come almost every day. You're there.
I'll work right next to your cafe.
So I'm your coffee guy.
Pretty much.
Mm.
And I was listening to your podcast yesterday or the day before with Fabian, the guy who started the coffee shop on a budget, the
Yes.
shoestring.
Yes.
Really great episode.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there, and we'd already arranged to do this before I listened to that, because I thought, I should do some research on your show. And then I sort of sat there. I was like, I think Kirk's a pretty good host. I was thinking, who's going to host this episode?
Oh, this is all you, baby. This is all you. I'm looking forward to being interviewed, to be honest.
I was thinking Kirk's such a good host that he could kind of take over and host this episode.
I wouldn't do that to you, Louis.
Yeah,
but this is magical what you got going here. Like, we're in the middle of Hosier Lane,
Yeah.
busy thoroughfare in Melbourne. And do you always get this level of interest? Like, there's people taking photos of us and
Yeah.
so on. This is a very cool arrangement, though. I hope this becomes like one of the biggest podcasts
Oh, thank you,
ever.
sir.
And it deserves to. Like, you're putting in that effort.
I really appreciate that. Yes, there's always this level of interest, although you can tell it's a little busier today because of the weather.
Oh, perfect day.
Beautiful.
Can you swear on this?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no,
Um,
it's perfect.
Beautiful Melbourne weather. Like the perfect Melbourne day. 26 degrees, so not too hot. There's no wind. There's literally no clouds. We're very lucky, so it's going to get busy here. There's going to be a crowd.
Yeah,
And you're a podcast guy, so you understand equipment and everything.
somewhat.
There's options that I have to reduce the equipment that I bring here. So I've been flirting with the idea of just using my DJI mic minis and just recording internally into them and just forgetting this whole stem and just having like a small tripod with the 360 camera on it. But then I thought, actually, the thing that makes this work for you and me, while all that's happening around us, is the fact that we've got the headphones on.
It does. It's a game changer. If I was doing it in the same setting, I would want these headphones
You need it
for sure.
because we can spend 2 hours talking and completely forget what's happening out there. And then I'll go and edit it. And I told you earlier before when we were offline that I release a frame that's just the laneway. And I'll watch that frame like in 4 speed just to see if there's anything interesting happening before I start cutting and just tag those bits. And I'm like, I had no idea all of that was happening while I was talking to that person.
Well, yeah, and it's good way of blocking yourself out in a way, like because obviously there's people making noise and stuff next to us, but I go to trade shows overseas often and do podcasts, and yeah,
Oh, you do?
It's a must. I'm going to Italy in a few weeks. I'm leaving on Monday.
Oh, that's so sick, bro.
Yeah,
I
no.
love Italy, bro. Where are you going?
Well, starting off in Berlin, then going to Copenhagen, then London, then Milan.
Why did you mention just Italy out of all of these other countries?
I'll be doing the most, because it is a work trip. So thankfully, the podcast has been sponsored. So
Which is sick.
it's sick. So they want me to go. You don't realize how much money some of these f***ing companies have. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm very grateful to be sponsored because, you put a lot of work in doing this and stuff like that. And,
Yeah.
But like, I'm just like, you're paying to send me overseas to attend a drinks launch in Berlin, and it's like some of the money these people have. Like,
Bro,
would I pay the same?
Bro.
But they just got cash.
bro, I'm going to stop this podcast immediately. This is now no longer the Louis Diaz podcast. I'm starting a drinks podcast of some sort. Because, that's a perk, bro.
No, but you're going to experience hockey stick growth on this one day. Should you go about it the right way, and I think you'll crush it. You'll crush it.
Well, yeah, I mean, for me, the focus has just been on production. It hasn't been on going viral. It hasn't been on... It's been just having conversations with people that I enjoy having. That makes me want to come back. It hasn't been about, how can I strategize this or or plan this in some way to make that hockey stick growth happen. I've just gone, you know what? Production's hard enough. Just prove to yourself that you can do that you can tick that box, which this year has been about that.
Well, I always think to myself, like, podcasting about, you, in today's economy or in world, you're competing for people's attention.
Yeah.
And I always just think, like, you know, you think of the listener as your customer and what's like worth actually sticking around for an hour for. And so, you know, when I review everything, I think of that.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, would I want to listen to myself for an hour? Like, I do. I listen back to everything and, you know, try and review my own performance. But, you know, you got to keep that in mind.
I do. You're right. I do. And honestly, I wouldn't listen to this podcast if I was looking to acquire some kind of knowledge, which I think the podcasting kind of format has been a lot about acquiring knowledge, similar to like YouTube, for example. Like, you can have a YouTube channel that's just a vlog, right? But the thing that Casey Neistat, the world's most famous vlogger, did really well was he started doing camera equipment reviews as well. So it was a blend of like his life and, check out this new camera that this company sent me and let's do a review on it. So he did that really well. So he was able to capture a niche within the general sphere of vlogging also. And maybe this can evolve into something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's totally just been about production. It's just been about, like, just prove that you can show up. Just prove that you can do episodes weekly. And I told you off air, I said, you know, the way I think about this podcast isn't that it's not a podcast, it's me learning how to podcast. And that takes the pressure off it a little bit, but also, yeah, it takes the pressure off. Like, when I release an episode and it gets 20 views, I'm not disappointed because I'm like, I'm practicing production. And so this year has been about releasing weekly episodes, which I've done pretty much all year.
But that's a bit of a challenge in and of itself. I mean, like, when I first started like 6 years ago, it's like, you know, you have it come up, but I think I treat this as much more of a professional thing now.
Yeah. Well, you have to.
Yeah. Well, but there's opportunity in it, right? Should you do it okay? And I think in coffee, the industry I'm in, there's kind of space for there. I think for me, I'm in a bit of a race to try and assert myself as like the premier podcast in coffee, right? And
do you have much competition, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, well, there's always more competition coming. But I started it with a bunch of guys that I started a podcast with a bunch of guys last year.
Yeah.
And we ended up not seeing 100% eye to eye. And
okay.
And so, you know, they're still going, and I started my own thing.
Right.
And
what, the coffee show?
Yeah. So, well, they're doing another one. The coffee show is exclusively mine. And
yeah. So you started that after this experience with the other guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, but
so when you say 6 years ago, what was that?
Well, see, I started podcasting, during 5 years ago, maybe, during the pandemic or when it just began, and you know, it was just everyone was going online, obviously, at that point in time, and I think I was one of the first, not the first, but you know, got listened to quite a bit, and then stopped doing it. Started it with these other guys, didn't work out, so now I'm in my third sort of edition,
right.
but this is the final one.
Yeah. Well, this is the one that's worked.
Yeah.
And see, that's good. So you get what I'm saying. It's like, you know, I'm not married to the idea that this has to be the thing, even though I'd love it to be. But, you know, it's like if something else comes up that feels more like right at some point, like I get a light bulb moment and I'm like, oh, yeah, I really want to do a podcast about that now, and I'm ready now.
But why wouldn't this work? Like, you've got, like, look at the setting where you know, you're in a good spot, and you know, one day you'll get some big time guests on, and you know, you'll be cooking. Yeah, you'll be absolutely cooking.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, and yes, let's hope that happens, and I don't have to change this.
Yeah,
but it's cool. So you've been a coffee guy for a long time.
10 years.
Yeah,
10 years.
And how old are you now?
31.
So you started in your early 20s in the coffee business. What? How did that all come about?
Well, I was studying journalism at university, and
that makes sense, bro. You've got a very journalistic kind of authority when you speak on your podcast.
I appreciate that, but like but at the time, I was washing dishes at a cafe as like my job. That's how I got by. And
Cool.
it was like I went to Deakin University, so it's not one of the great universities. So everyone's like getting their degree, but they're getting smashed while doing it. So oftentimes people wouldn't come to work, and so this was a big problem at the cafe I was at.
Right.
And so, but I always was able to come to work the next day, and so my boss was just like, "Would you like to learn how to make coffee?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah.
And then this is the standards in Melbourne are quite high, and so when I first started, people would walk in, look at me, think, "No way," and then walk out. So I was like, "Oh damn! Well, I need to get better at this." And
What? They looked at you and thought, this guy can't make me a good coffee?
absolutely,
Oh,
because I wasn't familiar with them, or they weren't familiar with me.
Yeah.
And so
And you were 21, so
that's right.
you probably don't look the way you look now. You
That's
probably
right.
looked a bit, more 21-ish.
Yeah. But people really develop a relationship with the people that make them coffee.
That's so
right?
true, bro. I
And-
talk to Dennis at your cafe all the time.
Yeah.
He's my favorite, man.
Yeah. And so, like, if I just replaced everyone with a bunch of people that you didn't know, I think for the first few times, you'd be like, oh, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
And then if they make shit coffee and they've got shit chat, then it's like, well, it's over. But then,
That's so true.
so anyway, I wanted to get a lot better at it. And this is like when information started becoming available on the internet on how to actually make coffee better. And
Yeah,
so
okay.
I consumed as much as I could, went to other cafes that were really good. That's one of the best things about coffee. You get better by going to other people that are great.
Yep.
You don't need to really shit on people, although people do shit on other people. You actually get better by embracing what other people do
Yep.
and embracing what other people do well.
Yep.
And so, that's how I sort of got to be. And, I've always wanted to do things in my own image and my own style. And people might listen to this and think, how would you do that with coffee? Like, it's coffee. But
It's a good question.
actually, you would know as well. Like, we've got like 4 different blends you can choose from on any given day. One that, the home blend, one that tastes like a strawberry cheesecake. And it literally does.
I never tried that one.
Yeah, well, you got to...
Well, I just order a coffee.
Yeah. But, as well, like, you don't want anyone lecturing you. This is one of the things I hate about coffee shops, like people, like baristas lecturing other people.
Yeah.
Actually, that's what I hate about the
So
world.
funny.
That's what I hate about the
So
world.
true.
Everyone's just so eager to give everyone a fucking lecture.
When you're a specialist at something and you're arrogant and you're like, oh, you can't just come into my coffee shop and order a coffee. You have to choose the beans. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but like, people should be able to opt into that. It's not
Yeah.
like I'll ask you, because with the reality with
So
like
true.
those service-based things is like people want convenience. So it's like if you ask 20 questions before someone can actually pay for a coffee, not a really good proposition.
It's not a great customer experience. Yeah.
Anyway, so I've just gotten like, I'm really obsessed with it. There's a lot of science in coffee that people wouldn't be aware of, like, and mathematics. So like we
No
weigh
idea.
everything that goes in, weigh everything that comes out, to the point where like we assess the water chemistry.
I had
like,
no idea, bro.
But that's what the good cafes do. And not many people would really realize that. But like,
That's crazy. That's it's such a world. And now it makes sense that it's so niche and it's so intricately detailed. And it's interesting the stage of the world that we're in, right? Because I feel like, okay, like let's put it this way. Here's another analogy for that I can relate to. Other people might be able to relate to this too, like gaming, for example. So I was born in the 80s, and so by the time I was a young boy, like the gaming systems had become, they were probably in their second phase of their life, right? Where in the first iteration, maybe in the 80s or even 70s, I imagine, like there was an Atari, and like the first game you could play was, the Pong one, where it was just like the little thing moving across the screen.
Space Invaders, that kind of shit.
And that was gaming. And then by the time I got my Sega Master System, the games are in color now and they're a little more intricate. The range of motions higher. The challenges are more detailed, right? I didn't have a gaming system from, say, 1992 till I bought an Xbox in 2005, right? And so now I'm having to learn, like there's all these different triggers and like other buttons on the controller. It's now 3D. I'm playing Grand Theft Auto San Andreas in full 3D. Park that. Come back 10 years later to like GTA 5. And I'm like the way that you can shoot around, like the level of intricacy that has now evolved in gaming. Like, you can no longer just be born and pick up a gaming system and learn iteratively, like I had the opportunity to, which was like, oh, Pong, left and right. Okay, cool. Now take me on the next journey. You're now born into this kind of world where you've got to learn. Your learning curve is way steeper. Like, you've got to figure out how to do all of the things to play a game today. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, well, like
Similar to coffee, I imagine.
yes, but there's like, actually, you're right. You're exactly right, because the technology we use in coffee is different to like what it was 10 years ago. Like now we've got technology that cuts off like the espresso at the exact right time, right? Because you can calibrate it, and before you had to manually press it. With games and these days, like, you're right, the level of things you can do is fucking crazy.
It's crazy.
And this is what I really appreciate about the kids these days. You know, like, I think Gen Z gets a bit of a bad rap in the media.
I think so too.
And they're born into this world where like technology is just so abundant.
Yeah.
But they can just operate everything with such ease. Like,
but they can go from zero to master straight away because they have the opportunity to, if they invest the time, and the infrastructure's in place for them to. So if I walked into your cafe as a Gen Z today, you would teach me all of this stuff that, because you didn't have the technology for that 10 years ago, the person back then didn't have to learn.
Yeah.
But now, like, if I'm a Gen Z and I walk into your cafe and you're teaching me different strains, measuring water, temperatures, this and that, like, by the time you're 20 years old, you can be literally like a shit hot barista.
oh yeah, yeah. No, and I think that's already happening. And the thing about because people that are entering pretty much any industry these days, I would say, but let's apply it to coffee. Like, they don't have to learn all these other manual processes that they used to.
Yeah, okay.
But they can apply that extra effort to other things.
Yep.
So, like, for example, I think you see it big time I get it all on my algorithm. It's like, there's kids that set up these businesses at like 20 years old, and they document the whole thing on Instagram, and they're really capable of getting a camera like this and then being able to edit it really quickly and put it on TikTok and shit.
Yeah.
Like, they just do that.
Yeah.
And so, and I actually think, not only do the kids today get like a bad rap from the media, and let's face it, every generation has their issues.
Yeah.
But the kids today, I think we've actually robbed them of so many things and delights that, it's really unfair.
Yeah.
For example, like, housing's getting so expensive, right?
Sure.
So, you can think about it as like, they'll never be able to afford a house, but like, have they ever, like, are the kids today being born in a house they can really enjoy? Like, I've got a friend who's got a kid, right? And they live in a 1-bedroom apartment here in Melbourne.
Where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up on the Central Coast north of Sydney.
Yeah, and
so
you would
it's
have had a yard and
I had
everything.
a big ass backyard.
Yeah.
And like,
Same.
got to go out and kick the footy with my friends. Was at the beach all the time. We didn't have mobile phones and stuff at that time. And we didn't have like, there was like PlayStations and stuff like that, but we still loved to get out and go. And some of my friends had a pool. And like, there'd be so many kids these days, and like, they just wouldn't get to grow up like that.
Yeah.
And I'm aware most of the world wouldn't get to grow up like that anyway. It's an absolute privilege that I had.
That's true.
But I just think today, like, the golden ages of life growing up in Australia might be over.
Yeah.
So
But you're right. Like, a 20-year-old kid can come and start a podcast about, cocktails.
Oh yeah.
And go viral overnight and be sponsored or whatever, and then be like, their careers can escalate really quickly without having to, I suppose, grind the old ways.
Yeah.
Another analogy for that is cars. Like, I grew up when we used to be able to work on your car. You'd go and buy like a spanner set, and you'd go and lift up the hood and go and work on it. But like, you buy a brand new Toyota Camry, or a Tesla. If you buy a Tesla, you ain't working on that. You're missing out on being able to work on your first car as an 18-year-old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless, you can still buy a Subaru these days and, join a car club where people do that. But it's not like the everyday man's thing that it used to be, like in your garage, because everyone had garages and everyone had a spanner set. Like, it was just your neighbours. You'd walk past your neighbours, and there you go. You'd see your neighbour under the hood of their car, and you'd be like curious, going, "Oh, what do you need?" And then he'd be like, "Oh, can you pass me that?" And you'd get involved, right? So some things have died off and new things have emerged.
Yeah.
And I feel nostalgic about those same things that I feel like you're getting nostalgic about like.
Yeah, well, like, I wouldn't look at the world now and say it's a better place than it was 20 years ago. Even with all this emerging technology
Yep.
and growing economies and stuff like that, we're actually no more prosperous than before. You know, I think there's clearly a very strong argument for the opposite. It's like, it's a less fair world now for people than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And you know, like we were just talking before we were on air about a friend that I just saw, an old friend.
Yeah.
And
Tell us.
it was just really like heartbreaking for me because I had a friend that I worked with a lot before COVID.
Yep.
Who I was working on another business, and he was one of my suppliers. And you know, really great guy. I had a really good relationship with him. I'd catch up with him after work and stuff like that. And then during the COVID, he got stood down, and he only worked 1 day a week or something. And in that time, I think he was just so socially isolated and had little to do because, like, for some people, work like really is actually quite a healthy mental thing.
Yeah.
And I think he just had not much to do, and he got into drugs. And I sort of caught up with him a few times during COVID. And like I could see he was on the decline. You'd go out with him and he was a bit antisocial. I have another friend who actually got so addicted to drugs that he overdosed and died, a couple of years ago. So we're at that age now where you kind of have mates that fall off.
You're 31.
Yeah. So like,
wait till you get to 41.
Yeah,
You're having heart attacks and stuff.
yeah, but like, you know, it was really confronting for me when my friend died a couple of years ago. And, you know, he also was just getting so antisocial. It's like there was actually no way you could help him.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I just walking on the way here and I see who I won't name. I saw my friend and he's homeless now and just smacking out in the middle of the city.
While you were walking here.
While I was walking here, and
wild.
I'm like, I kind of had to take a moment. I'm like,
And you'd never seen that side of, like, you'd never
No.
seen him like that before.
but I'm like, you know, my piece of shit didn't even cross the road to go talk to him. And, you know, but like, I was just like, but I know that he just like was kind of going through some difficulties. Like he owned his own house,
Yeah.
you know, just a few years ago.
Unlikely now. Yeah.
Well, he's like got all his possessions in a trolley smacking out at people
Right.
in the city.
So
So
the
like,
house is
you know,
likely
that
gone.
just,
Yeah.
you know, like, because I had someone call me a month ago about him and they're like, dude, what happened to him? Yeah, he's got all his shit on a skateboard walking through South Melbourne.
That's
I'm like,
sad.
and I'm just like, oh yeah, things mustn't be going well. Go under them to a group. But like, it's just,
Yeah.
but where I'm sort of going with all of this, like social isolation
Yeah.
is probably one of the biggest things that we're not talking about
That's so
nowadays.
true.
Like, you know, this is a guy that was, you know, probably in his early 40s. He's in his early 40s and owning his own house and he's in just a few short years got addicted to drugs, hanging out with a bad crowd, and he's no longer, I'd say, employed and, you know, homeless in the middle of the street. And
Man,
I
that's so
put it all
wild.
down to him not having, you know, going through that during COVID. Like that started it.
Yeah.
And, you know, then you put this within a context of, all right, now people can effectively live most of their lives online. Like you and I have spoken about work from home a lot in the
Yes.
past. And like, while I recognize that's a, like extremely convenient option,
Sure is.
and for some people, like,
Especially if you got kids.
it,
and you
yeah,
have to take them
like,
to school
you know,
and
if you're,
stuff.
yeah, totally. And you know, I got to do it, but I hated it. I really, really
Same.
hated it. I've never been more depressed in my life than when I was working
Would
from
you
home.
call yourself an extrovert?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
But like,
I'm more extroverted.
and I just think we've given away so much as a society
Yeah.
to the internet age, and I don't think we're ever going to get all of that back, which is incredibly sad. Which is like, I think,
It's a choice.
yeah, but like managing, you know, these dopamine hits that we get online and managing our digital exposure should really be considered in the same light to me as like managing our alcohol consumption or drug consumption,
Yep.
food consumption.
Yep.
You know, like
That's true.
It's I think it's bad, man. I think it's bad.
Yeah.
And no city more than Australia, no city in Australia has been affected more by all that stuff than Melbourne, I think.
Wow. Yeah, correlated to the lockdowns and the pandemic, and probably generally the weather here as well. The fact that we have such a, contrasting winter to our summer,
Yes.
which, gets people, that's a 3-month period where you get people hooked on Netflix and stuff, and then they kind of stay hooked on it even when the weather gets good. Although, there's
Definitely, it's like living in two different worlds sometimes living
Yeah.
in this city, which I both love and hate about it because the winter's tough. But if you go to like Sweden or Copenhagen or something, it doesn't even get light during the day.
Well, their societies are built around managing that, though. Like they have saunas, and I remember. I remember when I was in Europe, I went to Norway, and it was probably like the start of March, so it was still relatively, they're coming out of winter, still a lot of snow everywhere, but they got sunlight now. But the sunlight hours are reduced, and it was my first time ever being in a country like that, and it was only a few years ago. Just sort of seeing how they're just coming out of their winter, and but then you look at the things that they've got going on in their society, and they have societies and places and programs. And mind you, they still struggle with a social isolation. They still struggle with, high suicide rates in those Nordic countries because of that social isolation. They're by no means perfect, but you can tell that they've done their best to form a society around the fact that they don't get sun for like 2 months of the year. Like where my ex-girlfriend's from in Tromsø, in Norway, they don't get sunlight for 2 whole months from like mid-November to mid-January.
That.
Yeah, I know. Well, hence I didn't move there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I just think like social isolation's like, it's a disease, that we need to...
It's horrible.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, and something I've even kind of endured a bit myself. It's like, just having a lack of things to do, I think is a really bad thing, especially for me. Like, I don't speak for everyone who's, listening to this or everyone in the world, but like having a lack of activities to do is like, I think damaging.
But you grew up on the Central Coast, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say that and when did you move to Melbourne? Like 10 years ago to come to Deakin?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've spent your whole boyhood growing up in this environment where probably cyclically every year, and it's a much warmer place. You had this consistent routine: summer, mates' pools, beach, public pools, wherever, ice creams, going out, watching Hey Hey It's Saturday or telly with your family. Then, winter, footy or rugby or whatever it is, and cricket and, the outdoorsy stuff that people normally do, board games.
You're nailing this. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it all.
I grew up out in the suburbs here. So, if you grow up in the outer suburbs in Melbourne, you're pretty much growing up like the rest of Australians that aren't in a major city, right?
Yeah.
And then you've come into the big smoke, right? Where, you're not walking past Damo's house anymore. Like it's a whole, the buildings are closed off. Society seems more, there's more crime. You're not just walking past a guy working on his car in his garage anymore, and so the things that you grew up with aren't as accessible to you here, which now has thrown you into this kind of position where you've now got to figure out what your new activities are, and thankfully you found the coffee industry to create a society around, or to build a society around. Like, that's a great outcome.
It is, and I'm very lucky with that because I've got this job where, well, obviously I've got my own business now, but I don't think I've ever once gone to bed thinking to myself, damn, I really don't want to go do that tomorrow.
Yeah, okay.
I actually go to bed hitting the pillow and be like, I can't wait to go do that all again tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because, your morning is you get to go in, try different coffees that you really enjoy, that I've sourced. Sometimes like there's coffees that I've been to the farms in Bolivia and Brazil. There's people that I connect with over online that, or you meet overseas and stuff like that. And, and it's kind of like a project that you see through from start to finish, right? It's like almost like having a baby.
Yeah.
Or not really, but like,
Well,
let's use the
it
analogy,
is.
right?
It
So
is.
like, you raise a kid, kid's successful, whatever. This coffee is just a cherry on a tree. Then it's hulled, processed to get its flavor, roasted, and then you're the final thing. You either drinking it yourself or you're serving it to someone who really gets to enjoy it and you make their day.
Yeah.
Like, it's a pretty good existence.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go back to that then. So before we deviated into societal kind of, what would you call that? We'd call that observations.
Yeah, observation.
Social observations. We started with you working in the cafe as a dishwasher. Then, because of the inconsistency of people not showing up to work, you got an opportunity to make coffee, and that's where you realised you needed to figure out how to up your game.
Yes.
Because after that, you've been weaving all these things in, right? Like Bolivia. What happened next? Like, how did you go from being someone that people literally would turn away from to then being someone that eventually people wanted to order their coffee from? And was it at the same shop, or you?
That's a good question. So like I bounced around to a few different places to try and get better, because in coffee, every cafe you can taste it when you go to different places. Everyone kind of makes it differently. And so when I went and worked at new places, learnt from new people, and just like really strove to get better. Because a lot of hand skills involved with it, but also like you learn the science behind it.
Yep.
Then working at the right place where you're given the right resources to put together like a system basically.
Yep.
And so, for example, like the best place I went and worked at, for my development was St. Ali down in South Melbourne.
Yeah.
So that's a very famous place.
Was that with that guy Leon?
Leon Holdsworth, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I heard his name pop up in the episode with Fabian.
So he's got to be the best barista I've ever met.
I heard you guys say that, and that's like a big rap.
And baristas aren't recognized in the way that like chefs are. Like people really know who Gordon Ramsay is.
Yeah.
People know who George Calombaris is, or Heston Blumenthal and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're like
Curtis
Stone. Like they're icons in society, where we've actually got these talented baristas that are of the same ilk.
Yeah.
And like they're extremely talented. They make extremely good coffee, and like our industry is not really recognized like food is.
Yeah.
But I think that'll all change one day.
Yeah.
But Leon is someone that's on that level, and I got to go learn from him. And
Incredible.
And competed in barista competitions and things like that, and then to the point where like it's pretty fortunate when you're in a job where you get to travel for that job.
Yeah.
So when I worked for St. Ali, they sent me to Bolivia and Brazil, as I just mentioned.
So they sent you there.
Yeah. So
So they were serious. They were serious coffee makers.
Oh yeah. They're like a pretty decent sized company, and back in the day, I think the dynamics have changed a little bit in Melbourne now. But back in the day, if you got to work at a place like that, the look of that on your resume just did you serious favors. And I don't think it's really the same in the coffee industry anymore. But if like you got like I worked my way up to become the head barista at St. Ali. Like a lot of long days, like in hospitality, you work long days.
Right, yeah,
And,
for sure.
You have to prove that one, like, yeah, you can make good coffee and you're organized and you can run an operation, but also that you're a good leader. Like you've got to try to, if you're managing 10 staff, like you got to prove to someone who's running that shop and who's paying all the checks and stuff like that, like, can I trust this person to run my business for me? Because it's really important. The reputation's, obviously excellent. The quality is really high. So, they kind of had to they invested in me to run their business.
Right. Okay. It's a serious coffee business now. You're no longer at the cafe at Deakin anymore.
Yeah.
You've gone from what you probably thought from the Central Coast was a pretty typical cafe kind of environment to now like ultra professionalism.
Well, I'd never had a coffee until I actually started that job.
Right.
So I'd never even drunk one.
At Deakin.
Yeah, well, the cafe was called Miss Frank.
Right.
So it's just outside of Deakin.
Right,
Still
okay.
there today.
Yeah.
And I'd never actually had a coffee until I worked there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's
And
good.
then, like, I just got so curious about it.
Yeah.
And luckily, that's my personality type. Like, it's like I want it to be better.
Yeah.
I don't think, like, obviously, I work with a lot of people now or have worked with other people in the past. For some people, it's just a job, but I took a real interest in it.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and I'm very lucky in a way that I didn't find a profession. A profession kind of found me.
Yeah. Nice.
So,
nice.
that's a good situation to be in. Very fortunate for
For
that.
sure.
And,
Yeah.
I don't ever dread work. I'm in a position now where obviously I work for myself, started my own business, but
Yep.
it's a fucking sick industry. It's a sick feeling to have.
So good.
And if and most of the population don't get to enjoy that, so I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. That's so good to hear. You are lucky, I suppose, in a way. And so how did you find St. Ali? You were looking for a better environment, somewhere you could learn more, and you heard about those guys?
Yeah, well, there was a guy named Matt Perger he came second in the World Barista Championship, but he's always recognized as the most famous barista at the time, and probably still today in the world.
Really?
And, yeah.
You're kidding?
Yeah.
He's
But
from here?
yeah, but he's one of my really good friends now. You might have even met him.
Maybe, yeah.
But anyway, he comes to the cafe all the time, and he had this blog called Barista Hustle, and so I started reading that, and then I applied
Whoa.
because I really wanted to work at St. Ali, to work with people like him. I must have applied like 10 to 20 times, and on different occasions, but just got crickets all the time, and they
Probably too busy to look at CVs.
yeah, that's true. But like, if you wanted to really learn, you needed to go have a good teacher.
Yeah.
And so I knew for me to take that next step, like working at just cafes around the joint,
Yeah.
for me to take that next step, I had to go to somewhere like that.
Yeah.
And mind you, they're recognized all around the world. Everyone knows who they are. And so then I got to finally, they gave me a job at like another one of their businesses. And they said, "Oh, there's not an opportunity there yet, but one day it'll come up." But then one day there was this event that they were doing, collaboration, and they said, "Oh, Kirk, we need someone to go work this event out in Fish Creek," which is like,
I know where Fish Creek is.
Yeah,
It's
so-
on the way to Orsa's Prom.
it is, and it's a beautiful
It's
location.
a stunning location.
Anyway, so they needed me to go work out there.
Oh, you're kidding.
And they said, "Oh, we're going to send you with Leon." And of
yeah.
course, I knew who Leon Holdsworth was. And he's this like real reclusive guy, like your
Right.
typical barista is like, tatted from head to toe, and, very introverted actually.
Right.
Anyway, so on the car ride with him, we packed all the gear that we needed to take and we drove out there, and on the car ride with him, just give me donuts, like barely spoke to me. And then,
Okay, that would have been tough because that's a 2 hour drive out to Fish
for the
Creek.
first like half an hour or so, and then eventually he was like, "Yeah, want to move out into the farm. I want to get into shooting." He said that,
Right.
and I was like, "Oh, my dad's a shooter because
Alright.
my dad is a shooter. Like he, clay target shooting,
Clay targets.
and
cool.
goes hunting as well." And then his demeanor instantly changed. He went, "What?" And then he started asking me questions. And was like, "Yeah, I want to learn how to do all this stuff," because Leon's like this weird bushman barista. Like he can go out and kill something, butcher it, and then
Right.
serve it on his plate later on. Like he's just that kind of guy.
He's like the Joe Rogan of baristas.
He is. And then anyway, so he started asking me. He was like, "Oh yeah, I really want to learn."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, well, I'll get my dad to teach you." And so I connected those two. And then the relationships formed.
Right.
Life's about relationships.
100%.
Having a career, rightly or wrongly, it's not really about whether or not you have the ability to do something. It's whether or not you have the relationship with the person who makes the decision.
100%.
And
That's always been true
yeah,
and will always be true.
it will.
No matter whether you're a Gen Z born today or someone born in the 80s like me.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that will remain consistent
Relationships.
over time.
Relationships.
Even while all the technology is changing around us, which we spoke about, and everything's weird, and yes, you can't afford a house anymore, but wait, relationships will get you to where you want to go.
Exactly. And then
Yeah.
that led to me obviously getting a job
Yeah.
with him where I got to learn, and then I took over from him.
Right.
So, I worked really hard under him, and I get up at 3 a.m. every morning,
Right.
still to this day.
Yeah.
Like
That's early.
it's completely natural.
Yeah.
Like I don't set an alarm. I just am always up early. I have been since the day I was born. I'm an early riser.
Yeah.
People might think to themselves, well, that seems harsh. I know no other way.
Yeah.
Like it's just kind of how it is.
So-
So I would get, so it kind of suits the industry
Yeah, it
industry
does.
I'm in. So like I would get up early, go early, trial different things, see what works.
Yeah.
And you know, you might think to yourself, well, what's he talking about? Like to get a truly amazing cup of coffee, like you need to know a little bit.
When you say a cup of coffee, do you mean like an espresso?
Yeah. Let's use an
That's-
espresso as an example, right?
Yeah.
So you've got a coffee that could be from Ethiopia.
Yep.
And so
You can
know,
put that Polaroid down on the chair if you're sick of holding it.
Oh, no. But yeah, let's say we've got an Ethiopian espresso, right?
Yeah.
Ethiopia is the birthplace of all coffee, so a lot of the coffee that comes from there is the best.
Yeah.
But then, you know, what you do as a barista really affects whether it's going to taste really good or not. For
Right.
example, we measure the dosage now, so it's like could be 20 grams of coffee,
Right.
and then we, measure the yield, so how much coffee comes out.
Yeah.
And that's like could be 40 grams, let's just say, for example. So 1-to-2 ratio, 1 gram of coffee, 2 grams of water, 20 grams of coffee, 40 grams of water. And then,
Right.
you know, so I started playing around with different ratios, started playing around with different grinders. Like the equipment really matters in coffee. So you play around with different grinders where you do things in different combinations,
Yeah.
you take notes. And I would do this like for, 1 to 2 hours before my shift started.
Right.
And so then, oftentimes if I did it well, then the coffee would taste really good that way and people in the building would notice it. So
Nice.
so
So you've just sharpened up your skill set.
yeah.
You've-
And because I had that, the being able to wake up early thing was a bit of a blessing
Yeah.
and being curious as well. So
Mm.
being me doing those types of things, I did it for fucking hours, dude. And, to the point where sometimes I drove myself insane.
Yeah.
And trialing water filtration is one of like the biggest variables in coffee.
Explain that.
So basically, if you get water from the tap, it's actually got a combination of minerals in it that is sort of somewhat natural relative to the environment.
Yeah.
So in Melbourne, we've got really soft water, which means it's got not a lot of minerals in it,
Right.
which in coffee is a bit of a problem because if it's not got any minerals in it, it actually really affects the composition of the coffee.
Right.
So like say for example, if it's got no minerals in it, then it's going to taste dry and astringent. Some people might say that tastes burnt or
Okay.
yeah. And so, but if you change your mineral content, then you say for example, it's got magnesium and calcium. It's sweeter. It's got more texture. It doesn't have these bitter aftertaste.
Right. So it is it is literally a chemistry set.
That's chemistry is very much part of it. And then, then you think about the physics of the grinder, the grinder. So if you're grinding a lot, then it becomes hot. Your burrs expand,
Sure.
and then it changes the grind setting. So you got to manage things like that during the day.
You're kidding.
No, not kidding. But then the materials of the burrs, so it's think of that as just blades.
Yeah.
The materials that they're coated in, they have different rates of expansion or getting hotter at certain
Yeah.
temperatures and stuff like that. So then you experiment with those.
Yeah.
And then then you try those at all different ratios, and then you get all these different beans. It all really matters, and milk quality as well. That all matters
Yes.
tremendously.
Well, that I know about because I drink almond milk now, as you would know.
Yeah.
But, I switched from dairy to almond when I met a girl who was like, oh, maybe you're lactose intolerant. Then I was like, okay, I switched to almond. And now when someone makes me a milk coffee, I smell it and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
But I never used to notice that smell before.
It'd be particularly noticeable with almond milk. A lot of that tastes like ass.
Yeah.
So, as you would notice. And then you got to find one that's pretty drinkable.
Yeah.
But
But I mean, dairy smells gross too.
the wrong one can. Yeah. Because some of even though it's
Like off milk.
oh yeah, off milk. But also some milks just in particular, some processors, because I used to work as a milkman a little bit as well.
You did?
Yeah.
This is crazy.
So I took a sabbatical from coffee for a little bit and worked as a milkman.
What, just delivering milk?
Nah, well, I was a salesperson.
Right.
So because I had this knowledge of coffee, they saw me being able to help them sell to more cafes.
Right.
So, after the pandemic, so I started a business and just before the pandemic, doing like these pop-up cafes and things like that.
Yeah.
And it was really, it was going really well. And then my plan was I was going to go do pop-ups overseas in Korea, Singapore, and Jakarta.
Yeah, right.
And so starting off in Asia. And I had all these, so it was all going really well and it was getting quite serious. So then I got to the point where I actually booked all the flights and hotels for me and one other person to go.
Yeah.
So I booked all that in early January 2020.
Yeah.
And
That's, I got to remember which year it was.
2020,
Yeah.
I think it all started.
That's right. That's
and
right.
then I can't, like, it was just a few weeks later, coronavirus came up. And
Shattered.
So I booked all this stuff and then I couldn't, and then I think maybe, a few days before I was supposed to leave, the Australian government actually closed the border to come back.
Oh, to come back.
So you couldn't, if you left the country.
You knew that if you left, you weren't going to be able to come back.
Yeah. Well,
And
you'd
you
have
didn't
to
know
go
for how long.
Yeah, at that time. And then they introduced hotel quarantine and all that sort of shit. But so anyway, the message was don't go overseas. But I had unfortunately booked everything and I couldn't get any of my money back. So, which was all my life savings at the time. So,
Which is wild.
yeah. So when Scott Morrison at the time announced that, and I watched, I watched the press conference.
Forgot about ScoMo.
at the time when he made that announcement, I instantly lost like $25,000, which was everything I had. So
Whoa.
yeah, it was a really fucking big kick in the dick, and it was.
That's shattering, bro.
It was.
I do remember the airlines just kept a bunch of people's money.
Yeah,
And they were like, "Soz,
well, I mean, what were they going to do? They also like, you know,
give it back.
Yeah, well, true.
You are an airline."
Yeah, but you know, it was the hotels overseas, like, you know, the booking, because I booked it through a third party, so there was no bookings.com. They can get shot into the sun, those motherfuckers. But anyway, but like, I just lost everything, and it was really, really hard to deal with, because you know, like, you know, my whole world was just turned upside down. It's gone from like doing this thing that I really enjoy and about to go overseas and make money, to literally like everything being taken away for something that was completely out of my control. And then, you know, I pivoted as everyone did at the time. I found it really amazing how a lot of people just like pivoted their business, you know, really quickly at that time. Like they just, I was really impressed.
No choice.
Well, they had no
And
choice,
yes, and some were really impressive. You're right.
Some just like really blew me away.
You know, like the food trucks were going off. I remember this taco truck near my place that was just killing it during the pandemic.
Yeah, and you look at like something like the UFC. You know, they kept their business going in Abu Dhabi.
They were the trailblazers.
And they did, like, a lot of people judged them really harshly at the time for it. But you know, they didn't didn't skip anyone's paycheck. They kept everyone employed. And you know, like,
really admirable.
Yeah, like a lot of people were just like, yeah, we'll shut down. This is just nothing we can do. And some people are just like, we are keeping this shit on the road and we're keeping these people employed. And I find that really impressive.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I tried to pivot by.
It really is impressive. You're right.
I tried to pivot by opening a cafe, and because we thought that the lockdowns were going to end. Anyway, so the first initial one did, and then the day before my cafe was supposed to open, another one was announced in Melbourne. I was like, it's all over again.
That's right.
So it's just
like a break.
Yeah, it was just another great big uppercut, and so I tried that for.
Was that Project Zero?
No, it was called Sub-Zero Coffee. But anyway, so I tried that for a little while, and you know, it wasn't really working out. So I moved back to Sydney in 2021 for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I was just so disenchanted by it all. Like I tried to leave the coffee industry because I was so pissed off by it. Like that experience, you know, those 2 consecutive experiences just like really, you know, disheartened me.
Yeah.
And so I tried to, I got a job at a chlorine factory that a friend owned. And so I was packing chlorine into bottles for a living. And
I worked in a chlorine joint once.
Yeah.
We did the filling up the bottles and then the delivery.
Yeah. So
and my pants would come.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
get all
chlorine.
No
holes in everything.
I'm glad we're chlorine bros.
Yeah.
We're chlorine bros. And, you know, we're probably like going to live
I lasted
shorter
3 months in
lives.
that job.
Yeah, but it's a tough gig. You know, you're breathing in these
They're
chemicals.
20 kilo drums.
Yeah, it's heavy. You know,
Yeah.
when you're doing that repeatedly.
I was working with big dudes. I was like a small dude. I was like 60 kilos.
Yeah. Hey, go on. Then like it was just, yeah, it was like obviously I didn't love it. I appreciated having a job, but then I got a job. Like I managed to negotiate a position as a milkman. And this is the first time I've ever really had a job where like it was decent pay. They gave me a car, and like you know I could drive around all the time, and life was just so much easier.
Yeah, right.
For a while. And because in that job, like in coffee, for example, when I'm working at a cafe, everyone kind of loves you because you're making their day. But in that job, I was kind of ruining everyone's day because like, you know, if there's a price increase, then people are just, you know, angry at you. Or if there's like, you know, the delivery driver doesn't come, which happens very frequently.
Right,
Then
they just don't show up.
yeah, they just people don't show up to work or whatever. And then, you know, people just ring you up angry and pissed off all the time. So I just got really over it.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, you have these sales targets and, you know, you're doing cold calling and eventually I just got over it. And, unfortunately, my mum died when all this was going on. But so she had dementia. She got dementia very early when she was 50 years old. But
Whoa.
I'll tell you more about that in a sec.
Yeah.
But she passed away and left my brothers and sisters and I some money, and with that I was just like, well, I want to make like a life-changing move here. So I decided to open Project Zero Coffee, which you now frequent on the daily. Yeah.
And which year was that?
That was 2020. I think she died in 23.
Right.
So I decided.
So it's only a couple of years old.
Yeah. Well, she died when she was 60.
Yeah.
But she developed dementia when she was 50.
Yeah.
So very early
Yeah.
for someone. And she was like the healthiest person ever.
What were the like, you know, what? Yeah.
Ask any question.
Curious. Well, I don't even know where to begin to ask, you know, like how does that happen to someone? Like you would probably have done some research since.
Well, some people are just really unlucky. Like it just develops. And I don't think there's...
Did she ever have trouble sleeping by any chance?
No. Like I think she was good. Like she, you know, my parents separated and we all mostly lived with our mum. So I think she had a lot of stress.
Stress.
5 kids. So, you know, I'm one of 5. And, and
I think I met one of your brothers.
yeah.
I met your sister as well.
Yeah, you would have. And so, yeah, she developed that when she was 50. And then she also developed what's called primary progressive aphasia. So that's what Bruce Willis has. Right. And so effectively the connection between you being able to talk and the brain is severed. So you lose your ability to talk. So she, you know, so from when she was diagnosed to when she could no longer say a single word, I think it took about 2 years. So she said when she was 52, she basically couldn't talk anymore. And
that's so tough, bro.
It was fucked. Because the thing about dementia is like, if I'm to compare it with a disease like, I don't know, cancer or something, there's kind of a hope that someone can recover or be cured of cancer.
Really?
Well,
with cancer. Sorry, with cancer.
You can get treated for it.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
And all that sort of stuff. And if someone dies from it, then it's like, you know, it's really sad, obviously. But with dementia, like it only ever gets worse. It only ever gets worse. And
you know it's not getting better.
Yeah, and so like in a strange kind of way, like, you know, going through that for 10 years and, you know, instead of visiting your mum or her coming to see you and doing what you're doing, she eventually had to go to a nursing home. And so it's like, you know, visiting her means spoon feeding her goo or like, wiping her ass or something and, you know, helping her go to the bathroom. And,
bro,
you know, and,
so tough, bro.
And they start swinging at you and stuff like that because they've completely lost their brain.
I don't know who you are anymore.
Yeah. And so it actually becomes a massive relief when they die because like which sounds incredibly callous to say, but like, you know,
it's not callous. It's just honest.
Yeah, it is. But it like the dynamic, it's such a terrible thing. You know, it's obviously hard when like we commonly hear of like grandparents going through it and stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, some people get it earlier, and it's just the life lottery, and that's the card she was dealt. But it's like all these things. I think like I'm 31, and you know, going through those things that I did with like the hardship of COVID and stuff like that, and then dealing with mum going through that.
Yeah.
It's like it does make you stronger.
Yeah.
You know, it can break you.
Yeah.
It can break you easily, but it can make you stronger. And it's like, you know, I think I've got a bit of like mother attitude where like I try not to let things break me. Like I'm a real mongrel when I really want something, I'll fight for it.
Yeah.
And it's something I didn't really recognize in myself until recently.
Right.
But like I think I've got the ability to say that now where I'm like kind of proud of it.
To push through things that are challenging.
Yeah. Like, and
Yeah.
Everyone's got to do
virtue.
it. Well, yeah.
It's resilient.
If you want to achieve anything, there's something that you're going to have to go through, some trial. Like, I don't think anyone really gets an easy, 100% easy life.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Some have it tougher than others, sure.
Absolutely.
But like,
we
all have to go through something at some point. It's just life throws it at you.
Yeah. Actually, and the longer it takes for you to go through things, the easier you have it in life before you finally encounter something, the harder it is for you to deal with.
Exactly.
You see people they've had pretty good lives, and then suddenly they're like, parents divorce or something when they're in their 30s, and it absolutely cripples them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? But then I'm like, oh, I was born into that.
Yeah.
So I already had to kind of go through that.
Well,
even though I was too young to appreciate that I was going through a challenging thing.
They don't, have a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Or an adequate one anyway. Like some people will self-medicate and stuff like that. But like, some people just, they haven't had to face anything substantial up to a point.
It's like you need challenges in life to develop you as a person.
Yeah, I think so. Like some people like
to mold you.
Yeah, like, I think some people, I think as well, parenting and the way someone's raised also significantly influences them as an adult. Like if you're, I think getting kids into sport at a young age, one of the best things you can do.
100%.
Because they're, we were talking about social isolation before, like rubbing shoulders with other kids, developing a sense of teamwork and community.
Yeah.
Getting those values. You might not see a substantial amount of value in doing that as an adult, and maybe you want to do your own thing on the weekend, whatever. Like I a lot of the time do my own thing on the weekend, but like, I think when I'm at my happiest is when I'm, working with other people. Yeah. And
Me too.
I think you look at some of those kids and like they develop that camaraderie and stuff, and they grow up to be fine young people.
Yeah. Yeah.
To an extent.
I agree. No, that's so true. Jeez, we're really going places.
We are.
This is good. I like this. Well, because you and I don't get to talk like this, right? I come
Not all
onto
the time.
line. I order coffee. We might get like 60 seconds, I'd say, just to say hi, bye.
We've had some good yaks over the counter.
Like a couple of small ones, but when you when you think about it, they're like 5 minutes. They're like 5 minutes where we're like quick exchange.
Well, how often are you on the Louis Diaz show?
How often am I?
Well, how many opportunities do you get to be on the Louis?
There's I like F is my middle name.
Yeah.
Right. My middle name starts with F, so my former colleague Pete used to call me Louis Diaz.
Yeah.
Because he didn't know what the F stood for.
Is it Fernando?
Yeah.
Is it actually?
It is.
Okay, Louis Fernando Diaz.
Yeah.
And did you say you're from Venezuela?
Yeah.
So were you born there?
Yeah.
Do you have many memories of Venezuela?
I have some memories.
What age did you move away?
Just before my 5th birthday.
Okay.
A couple of months.
And so, did your parents both move here?
No. So my mum separated from my dad at some point while I was 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
Don't really know the timeline on that. And then met another guy who was an Aussie over there working for General Motors. He was there with his family.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what ensued, but before you know it, I was on a plane here.
Right.
And that was it.
And
That's all I know.
So are your parents still alive?
Yeah, both are.
Yeah.
And your story about your mum's made me think a lot, because we don't have a solid relationship at the moment. And honestly, it's my fault that we don't.
Well, that's something like I implore everyone to do. It's like, whatever differences you have are really small, because when they die, like, you don't get another
Yeah,
go
that's
at it.
really true.
So
And the whole time you've been talking, that's been happening in the back of my mind.
yeah, well, I mean, maybe call her after today.
Maybe I will.
And you don't have to be like, Mom, I love you that match. But you can also just
I don't get gooey.
go. Yeah, I'm not.
I find it hard to get gooey now.
Yeah, me too.
But you're right. Like
Yeah.
there's some, you're
Yeah.
making me think, and yeah, it's true. Yeah, so they're both still alive, and the interesting thing is that my dad, and I think he's finding it hard to just sort of continue having a long distance relationship with me, because we didn't talk. I lost total contact with him, and it was 33 years until I found him again via one of my aunties, one of my mum's sisters, helped me locate him, and then eventually passed on my phone number, and it was 33 years. So, he's seen his son at 4 and not seen me again till I was 38.
Oh, so you saw him 2 years ago?
No, I didn't see him physically. It was just online,
Right.
just over a WhatsApp call.
So you still haven't seen him physically?
Still haven't seen him physically. I haven't gone back to Venezuela. I haven't.
Are you planning to?
Oh, I'd like to. I just haven't. I haven't planned it yet. I've had other challenges to overcome here, my own personal demons as well, from stuff I haven't processed properly, and
Yeah.
taking probably some of the, you talked about what can happen to us, when we medicate and things, and I didn't realize that that's a habit that I developed, because I didn't have other coping mechanisms. So I like you, went into hospitality when I was in my early 20s, but I went into the nightclubs, and then that's a slippery slope,
Yeah.
because suddenly you're becoming mates with nightclub people, and the opposite of you're waking up at 3 a.m. One of my shifts started at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
in a nightclub, right? So in the early days of me working in that nightclub was the first experience that I ever had where I'm going to bed at like 8 or 9 and getting up at like 3 to get ready to go to work in a nightclub, and my work is, it's dark at that time of night. Get a taxi in, right, to work, or drive in, whatever I was doing back then, and you walk straight upstairs into a smoke-filled environment that's absolutely heaving. Totally different experience. And then you start to lose your friendships that you had that were healthy ones, like your schoolmates, because they're not inviting you to birthdays anymore because you're always saying no because you're busy working in the nightclubs. And you start becoming friends with nightclubby people, and testing out the pills and powders that they're offering you here or there. I kept it reasonably. I kept myself functioning, I suppose, but I never got addicted to anything. But alcohol it's been really tough.
Yeah.
Probably my whole life, like sort of late teens. Alcohol's been the one that's just been lingering around. That's been the challenge to get to kick.
Yeah. See, I had a big
Yeah.
problem with marijuana.
You did?
Yeah. To the point,
That's
like,
a lot of people struggle with that,
yeah,
which I don't get.
I don't, but like, if anyone ever says like you can't actually get addicted to marijuana, I just think that's total bullshit. Total fucking
I've
bullshit.
seen it. I've seen it.
And the like, for me, like I just go completely quiet. There's some people that like they're fine, they're normal, but I shut down.
So when did you go through your weed phase then?
Oh, I've been through a couple.
Yeah.
Been through like 2 or 3 really bad ones.
That's like me in a video game phase.
Yeah.
I would say that my equivalent is video games.
Yeah. So
Like if you put me in front of a gaming console and I just will start playing something that's fun, I'm gone. I'm a different person.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't even remember the timelines, but like, definitely some.
Were you in your teens? Like, were you still in school
I
when you first started?
started smoking weed when I was like 15.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was like other kids at school and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it got to
I hated the taste of it, the smell of it.
See,
I
fucking
hated it.
I love it.
I'm so lucky. I'm so glad I hate the smell of it.
Yeah.
Because I just never. I would find it tragic to become a stoner and stay that way.
Well, yeah, like, but sometimes being like, what I loved about it is I could, because I'm quite like, energetic, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes I struggle to sleep. Like I'm not a naturally great sleeper, but I'll just sleep all the time if I smoke weed, and I love that. Yeah. and you can like play video games and shit like that, and it like
Just buzz out.
You just enjoy it so much.
You can just
You
buzz out of life.
Yeah, you enjoy food as well. Like,
Oh, yes, you do.
And but like anytime you've got something that really like, whether it's weed or video games or dopamine, it's like if you delve too much into it, like if you don't restrict yourself, you just fall into it, like because things aren't supposed to be that easy naturally, I don't think. And so like I just smoke weed, not just when I got home, like from the moment I woke up.
Yeah.
And so that's when
proper
you
stoner.
Yep. And when you start doing it alone, I think that's like the next step. When you stop like talking to friends and stuff like that and socializing and stuff like that's like an even bigger step. And you just become a little demon, like a little gremlin.
I lived with a stoner like not too long ago. It was bizarre. I just didn't understand the behavior. I was like, you mean on a beautiful day like this, you chose to get out of bed and instead of go for a nice walk around the block or to the river that we live near, or get yourself a coffee, then come back and have a spliff. You've literally just got out of bed and rolled one and just sat in that chair all day with your hoodie on.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
Yeah, but it's like so easy to do.
I
And
just like life too much for that.
yeah, well, I think there's like something to say where like humans really depend on having like the sun and the Earth's elements to somewhat thrive or be happy. Like there was the other day, it was really sunny and beautiful, and I had work to do to go inside, and I thought to myself, I haven't had this. There hasn't been this level of sunshine. I need to take this extra hour to go walk, because it's not coming back anytime soon. That other shit can wait. Yeah. But like, you're totally right. Like when you get locked in that position where you keep yourself in a dark room, you just become really unhealthy.
And when was your most recent stoner phase?
Last year.
Really?
Yeah.
So how do you, because same with me in the video games, for example. Went and bought myself an Xbox a couple of years ago, and I got right into it. I was playing an old game that I used to play when I was young, and at some point I was like, I have to sell this thing. I have to get rid of this thing from my life because I know it's stopping me from doing X.
Yeah.
How deep do you get into your? How deep did you get into the most recent phase before you were like, this isn't working for me? Because you obviously kicked it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Was it work?
Well, you smoke so much that you no longer really feel anything.
Right.
And I think for a lot of people, like that's why they call it the gateway drug, right? Because you progress onto something that's a little more harder that you do feel. I mean, obviously, I didn't want to. Like, I depended on it to sleep at that point. And, like when, and I'm not really, I think what helped me get through it is like, I've got things to do. Like I've got, a business to run and I've got,
exactly.
I've got things to actually live for.
Yeah.
Whereas I think like other people that don't have that situation, like that's probably what makes it a lot harder. That's probably what makes them descend into other things. So that, and I do like being healthy. Like since I started the cafe to now, I've put on like 20 kilos of weight. So because I just get so into my work, I kind of forgot about those habits. And only like a month ago have I started working out again.
Right. Yeah.
And like trying to lose some weight.
Yeah.
And just going to the gym. And I feel so much better, man.
Yeah.
Like it feels so much better. Like can't tell you how much better it is.
And you recognize that feeling as opposed to like how you felt when you were getting stoned all the time.
I think so, because like, you get addicted to, like I kind of got addicted to my work and like you get to a point where you're doing that where you actually don't get any more productive. So so even though you might spend like an extra 4 hours there a day, you're not really getting any higher of a net gain.
Yeah.
So to speak. So it's like, I had a really big think with myself about this recently, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to start like rostering myself on less. Yeah. And like getting my staff, and I've got like incredible staff.
You've got
like,
good staff.
And I invested a lot in training them and stuff like that. And it really makes it easier for me to like, go in a bit later. I can go into the gym. Nowadays I can go to the gym during the middle of work,
Yeah.
and that's like, and just come back
Yeah.
and, eating healthier, like so much better. This is only like a month in. So like,
Yeah.
but I feel like I'm really committed to it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, so you started, if we go back to, obviously your mum's passed, she's left you some money, you've started Project Zero in 2023. So now it's like the 2-year anniversary-ish of Project Zero.
Getting there.
And that's the first cafe that you owned? Or was it Sub-Zero?
Yeah. Well, I guess that was just like a pop-up style thing, but
Yeah.
this is the first kind of like
S-
legit sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's a structure and it's going well. We're opening a second one in like a month on Flinders Street.
That's
so,
the second Project Zero?
Yes.
So you're keeping like the brand name?
Yeah.
and everything?
Yeah.
Yep.
And that one will be really interesting because we're
Flinders Street.
Flinders Street.
Whereabouts?
Like on the corner of Flinders and Elizabeth.
Oh,
So
whoa,
right in the thick of it.
that one.
Yeah.
Oh.
So like close to the corner anyway, but we've developed this new way of making coffee where we're actually making all the espresso, so like the coffee at our current site, and we're going to refrigerate it and send it to the next one.
Right.
And so say for example, when you order a latte, I won't have to like grind it all and make it fresh. I'll just press a button, it'll dispense all this liquid.
Right.
And then I've got a new machine, the first of its kind in Australia, that'll actually dispense the milk and stuff as well.
Right.
So say for example, even if there's no customers at my shop, it would take me a minute from start to finish to make you a coffee.
Right.
At this next cafe, it's going to be less than 5 seconds.
Whoa.
So the productivity, like,
And how does that change the workflows, like the staffing numbers and
well, it reduces the staff we need by half. Like,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what you need to do in coffee to make money.
But you do, yes, exactly.
Mm.
But going back to when we first started this conversation, you appreciate that part of the coffee experience for a customer is the barista,
Yes.
is the relationship that you sort of build.
Yeah.
So you obviously don't want to kill that off.
No. What
Yeah.
in a way, I think it's actually still the most important part because there's a cafe that's completely automated near our
7-Eleven.
Yes, well, there's 7-Eleven, but there's also like there's this other one that's just up the road from where you work and where I work.
Yeah.
And it's you go there and it'll make you like a decent cup of coffee.
Yeah.
You don't talk to a human at all, just tap your card. And it's like a machine that makes you like a specialty grade cup of coffee, right?
Really? There's no one manning it?
No one meaning it.
All right.
I've never seen anyone there.
It's so interesting.
I've never seen anyone there
I
because
don't even know it's there.
exactly. But well, maybe marketing's one thing, but like that's not really what people want from like the coffee experience.
There's a social element to it.
Like it's a huge social element
Yeah.
to it. Like I think people like going somewhere where there are other people are
There's
because
a
like
human.
yeah.
Yeah.
And even like other customers, for example, like do you really want to go somewhere where it's just like dead quiet?
You're the
and-
only customer.
Yeah,
It's a bit eerie.
yeah.
It's a bit eerie.
It is a bit eerie. Like you feel less comfortable. But if you go somewhere where there's, a bit of a buzz happening, they're playing nice music, the barista's nice to you, the coffee's good. Like that's packing. That's
the
given.
vibe.
That's kind of what at least the Melbourne coffee experience is.
Yeah.
And we do coffee fantastically here as a country. Like I've trained so many people that come here from other countries. They come here to learn so that they can go back to their home country and do it well there.
Well, Melbourne coffee's a thing. I remember this football player, Job Watson.
Yep.
Went to New York and started what apparently was called a Melbourne-style coffee place.
Mm.
And it feels weird as a non-coffee person to hear that because I'm like, hey, hang on, we don't even grow beans here.
Oh, we do.
I didn't know. I didn't know that. Well,
Not many.
Not
Not
in
much.
Victoria.
No.
What, up in Queensland or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like it's kind of weird that coffee culture is we're most famous for coffee culture here, but as opposed to a country that should have it, like Colombia, and they grow their own beans.
Yes.
They should have like the world's most famous coffee culture in theory, or Ethiopia or something like that.
Yeah, well, obviously the economic dynamics are different there.
Sure.
Like, you couldn't sell that much coffee in Ethiopia because there's not as big of a market for it.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's cheaper for them to buy there because it doesn't have to be shipped and all this other stuff. But like,
Yeah.
the demand for coffee has never actually been higher. So the price of coffee's a commodity. So it's traded on the US stock exchange, traded in US markets.
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Sure.
And so during COVID, per pound, it was worth like 88 cents at its lowest.
Yeah.
It's now, as of today, like $4 per pound.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that's like
It's a
more-
5x.
5x. And
Almost-
that's
almost
just because of
5x.
economic factors. So one being like demand's increased, and two, there's been weather events at coffee origins like Vietnam and Brazil
Sure.
that have actually reduced the yield. So
Yeah.
like plants, require certain conditions to, do well and thrive and produce more coffee beans.
Yeah.
And so there was a drought in Brazil, which is the biggest coffee producing country,
Right.
and they had a 40% decline in yield, and that just affected the coffee market.
That's crazy.
And there's more and more roasters in the world. There's more and more cafes in the world. More and more people drinking coffee. It's become so much more popular in people's lives.
Yeah.
That the price is just, it'll never go back down to where it was.
Yeah.
Never ever, because we can no longer produce enough coffee in the world to satisfy demand.
It's like a commodity. Well, unless there's population decline, of course, things like that can affect it. But like, yeah, it's a commodity. That's so interesting.
What do you think about the population decline stuff?
It's real. I mean, you were talking about social isolation. You were talking about dementia. Now we're talking about population decline. All we need to do is look to Japan, who are the leaders in so many things, not just technology, but social, social dynamics in the world as well. And Japan is, going through it at the moment. It's been going through it for a while. And it's,
China as well. They're like trying to really encourage.
China put themselves in that situation through the one-child policy.
Yeah.
And they're the only country that did something like that. So, they're a bit of an edge case that you can't look at the rest of the world based on China, but you can based on like Japan, for example.
They've got a more unique problem.
Yeah. And it talks to, the way that the world's changed, had the acceleration in economic dynamics. I was talking about this with someone the other day. The 70s, the dollar was depegged from the gold standard, and then financial institutions started to develop these financial tools, to that people and businesses could leverage. You culminate that with, the feminist movements, bringing more women into workplaces, which has been ultimately a more positive thing. But then what happens is now you've got families that are on double incomes at that stage in history, where you've got others that don't feel like they need to be and can still survive on a single income. Now that's gone because all the double income families started buying properties and stuff and then becoming landlords and putting rents up, and then families then had to figure out, now we need honey to go and get a job, or the man, if he wasn't the one working, to go and get a job. And now we've got these double income families, and so you're not prioritizing raising a family anymore, you're prioritizing bringing in income just so that you can live.
Yeah. And
so,
this is like a huge issue, I reckon. Like,
well, it's escalated really quickly in terms of like human history.
Yes.
It's been a problem that started maybe about 50 years ago, right? And has just climaxed in let's just call it 50 to 60 years, right? What are we, 2020 something now? Yeah, so it can hockey stick back if things change, but they're not likely to become easier or change quickly. People need to make choices. And it's the choices people make, like moving out to rural areas where things are cheaper, where the opportunities to live on a single income might be easier. People can make those choices, but if you want to live in the big smoke, you've got to have two incomes or have a thriving business.
I really am concerned about all this going forward. Like I've got a slightly pessimistic view on whether or not it'll work out well or not for people, and obviously that entails
humanity.
I don't think it will, because
when you say people, and let's be specific. Australia has this problem because Australia's like, I heard the word real estate like 3 times just on the way to work by passing by, listening to people's conversations. You hear someone say real estate. Aussies are a real estate hungry market, right? You go to some other country somewhere else, like in the Africans, for example, where my mate Mading, who was on my recent episode, he was talking about African, like his uncles. He said his uncles have started going back home They came here for a better life. They just decided, nah, it's too work oriented here. They've gone back to Africa. Now, yeah, that comes with other challenges that they'll need to deal with, but they've gone back so they can just chill more.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. We are like, it's getting hard.
We've become human doings.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's really disappointing the way life's going, because obviously wealth is becoming so much more concentrated to a smaller amount of people. And I think that's one of the lead causes as to why people don't want to have children anymore. Like, I couldn't afford to raise a family right now. If I like, I've got a girlfriend, and if I knocked her up and she got pregnant next week and decides to keep her, like, I don't know how I'm gonna do. I'm not financially set up for that right now. And and emotionally, I just don't know if I could deal with having a kid right now either, because I've got my business, and I want to achieve a few more things before I do that. One being financial security. But then you put that in the context of Japan, where like the work culture is quite grueling, and in China, so not only did they have the one child policy, they've got this thing they call 996, where you work.
I've never heard of that.
So it's you work from 9 o'clock a.m. to 9 o'clock at night, 6 days a week.
I think I have heard of that before. Yeah,
and like
that's not a life.
No, and you get paid less than you do here, and so like. No wonder people, and that's just the norm now. There's billions of them. They're all, and they're competing for, what will probably become a smaller amount of jobs as technology automates a lot of things.
Yep.
And then you start talking about these AI companies and stuff like that, who are racing to develop these, really super pieces of technology that could end up doing a lot, and they're just going to have a monopoly even over governments.
Yeah, sure.
Because like
I'm optimistic about it though.
Why?
Because
I think there's reasons to be optimistic, but what are yours?
Well, the Homo sapien is a social creature, right? And so you take people will galvanize. That's what we do. We do it naturally. It was interesting because I had Cheryl Saw in a recent episode, and we were talking about kind of work and how hard it is to make friends at work, and this and that. And there's this group of school kids that walked past us, because I was recording on a Thursday. This group of school kids walking past us, and you watch the way that they just naturally just yap at each other, the way they interact. Like, innately, we are social creatures. And the other thing that we are innately, and this is something that we developed from early man, is problem solvers. From the moment someone picked up a rock to smash an egg or whatever it was, to break a coconut or whatever it was, and discovered that was a tool, that's when problem solving humans started. And if AI takes the problems that we're currently solving through our manual labor and time from us, we will find new problems to go and solve.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I agree with that.
I trust that.
Yeah, I believe that as well. Like, I don't think it's the all-knowing thing that people think it is. That, like, you see those things on the internet where it's like, yo, this will be replaced by AI soon. I think it actually just assists people to do their job better, not entirely replaces their jobs.
I mean, I talked about this with Mading. I talk about this with a lot of people. No one wants to sit in front of an Excel spreadsheet. No one really wants to do that. They acquired that skill and they developed that skill because it was a skill that was demanded in the market.
Yeah.
Well, sure, it's not going to be demanded in the market anymore. New skills are going to emerge. I think it was Yuval Noah Harari who wrote *Sapiens*, who wrote a subsequent book called 21 Lessons for the 21st Century or something. And because he's like a famous historian, historians tend to see patterns and try and predict the future. His prediction was that there's going to be a rise in philosophers.
Yeah, right.
Because, Tesla, his example was in the book, was that, you're going to walk into a Toyota dealership and they're going to program your car for you as an AI. But then there's going to be this one existential question that they'll ask you. So, Kirk, we're setting up your car. We've just got one preference for you to select as we set it up. In the event that the car gets into an unavoidable, catastrophic event, would you like it to save you or the person or the other person?
Right.
And so his take is that there's going to be a rise in like philosophers, and there's going to be a rise of people that are now trying to solve new problems, because we're going to have these new problems to solve, like, and these new decisions points to be made.
Well, where I think there's like,
Weird example, but you know what I mean.
well, I think as well that human social skills have actually become so much more valuable and commodifiable.
But
Like,
they always have been.
yeah,
You know,
but even more. Like, say for example, like
I disagree that even more. I'd say they always have been, but people have chosen to avoid them.
that's an interesting way to look at it. My argument is like, say for example, we'll use the coffee argument, right? So a barista in an industry that can become largely automated, like the value of going to actually people that will talk to you in a genuine way.
This was one of my favorite parts of your episode with Fabian, by the way,
Yeah, like
when you spoke about this kind of thing.
yeah, well, it's just like the value of barista, like, will become so much greater in a world with such abundance, because there is we already possess the ability to sit on our phones all day
If we wanted.
and just assess information, interact via that medium.
Yep.
That's already here.
Yep.
And so, like, but that's what makes going to a coffee shop so much better.
Yeah.
To appreciate the sun, you have to know what rain is. And so, like, without good, there is no bad.
Yep.
To experience one, the other has to exist.
Yep.
And so, like, where I'm going with this, like, say for example, 10 years from now, there's just such abundance with so many things, like, and it becomes kind of, maybe say for example, we're on universal basic income then, and it's like a reasonable amount. It's like not just living, but you can go and enjoy some things socially. I just think coffee shops will become busier and busier.
100.
I was in Dubai
100%.
at the start. I was in Dubai at the start of the year.
I couldn't agree more.
I was in Dubai at the start of the year, and if you're born an Emirati, like a citizen of the United Arab Emirates, you get a house at like a certain age, and you get a stipend or whatever, and the minimum salary is like $150,000 if you're born in the United Arab Emirates,
Right.
US.
Yeah. But
And-
because everyone's on that, like your minimum wage.
Yeah,
There.
yeah, but like you can make a really good living, like you can exist really well over
Elsewhere.
there. So like native Emiratis, like they're doing great, but you find them all at coffee shops, and they don't just
That's interesting.
do it during the day. They're there until like midnight. It's like such a big thing for them.
Socializing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how they pick up chicks over there, because being of the Islamic faith, like they do it, they go about it a bit differently. They don't drink as much. You can drink in Dubai, but like they're just. I think that's kind of like a view into the future of that. Looking, for me it was anyway, because like when you've got, they all drive around these really hotshot four-wheel drives, and stuff like that. It's a really interesting contrast with here. Like they effectively have two classes of people over there. So it's like an Emirati who's like, of a higher tier, I guess you'd say, compared to anyone else. 90% of their country is expats. So that's people that aren't born from the Emirates. And so
They go there to make good money.
oh, yes and no.
Some
The
people.
minimum salary for someone there though is $200 or $200 to $300 US for like, if someone like you or me went.
Yeah.
That's all we're entitled to get. So obviously we wouldn't do it. But you find heaps of people there from Indonesia that work in coffee shops, and the Philippines, and on construction sites, like people from India and Pakistan and Bangladesh. And so like where you compare that with here, that's highly illegal. I'm sure that like, there's still a lot of exploitation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, they are famous for exploitation.
Yeah, but like but over there, it's like it's legal, and I think Australia gets viewed as like quite bad for things like that. We're actually in a global context, like the level of prosperity here. It's interesting hearing what you said about that guy and his uncle moving back to Africa. Like the level of prosperity here is much, much higher.
Yeah.
But
if you're willing to put in the grind and the work, and if that's part of your life choice to do that.
But to exist, like you have to work.
Yeah.
And maybe he felt these people felt less connection here.
Yeah.
Just living in like some shit suburb of Melbourne, working some shit job.
Yeah.
It's like you actually
Not
feel
really
lonely.
getting to see their
So
friends. Yeah.
Yeah. And like what money you do earn now basically gets you a house and the ability to eat and not much else.
Yeah.
So yeah, that totally makes sense that
Yeah.
he would thrive. He would desire different things or value different things higher.
Yeah. I mean, you see it in like Flemington, Ascot Vale, where I live in that area, and there's a couple of African restaurants there where all like the men are all just sitting, just chatting to each other.
Yeah.
You know they value that connection,
Yeah.
and they're finding a way here to make it happen.
Yeah.
They're not dressed to the nines;
Mm.
they're dressed bare minimum, but they're doing enough to get by. But they're sacrificing the prosperity potentially to maintain a social connection, and we're culminating, I think, here to a point where people, are valuing that more. Here's another angle on this. Like, how Formula One's huge these days. F1's huge. Well, F1 was going into decline, right? And then the Netflix series Drive to Survive comes out, and have a look at people that never would have. You can see that they never would have had an interest in F1 before. Like, I'd been following it since I was a kid. I was following it, when Ayrton Senna was still driving.
Right.
And I was watching it late at night when I was in school. I was staying up late at night to watch on Channel 9, like, the race. And, Mum was in bed. She didn't know I was up. Maybe she knew. Maybe she didn't care. But I was watching it, going, come on, Schumacher, win. And then it started going through a decline, right? It wasn't, especially here, it wasn't popular because, it's on at odd times. To experience that event, it's got to come to your country. But now people can experience it because of the Netflix thing. Now that industry is skyrocketing. And if you want to get involved in F1, sure, you can watch it online and stuff. But to get really involved, it's the IRL experience. When it comes to your city, now because of the Netflix thing, tickets are way more expensive to go to Albert Park. But then there's all the associated events and communities that come out of it that have blossomed. So I think IRL is coming back. To your point about the cafes, IRL is coming back.
That's a good point you raise, actually, because there's a lot of ecosystems that supports as well. Like, for example, that's our busiest weekend of the year,
Really?
the cafe, when the F1's here.
Yeah.
It's such a good thing, and it's even worth the government investing a little bit in.
Well, they did.
Yeah, like you have to now to be able to host it in your city. Like, you got to pay them to have it. So
Yeah.
so
That's
when
interesting.
that's when you know you're really cooking. But the ecosystems it supports. I guess a lot of governments want to have the image of having major events like that because it helps the credibility and stuff like that. But I think as well, it's one thing to have the race to watch, right?
Yeah.
But the storytelling and the context behind it is just so important.
Yeah.
And the ability, like, knowing the trials and tribulations of Daniel Ricciardo and his journey, knowing what Lando Norris has gone through up till now when he's killing it at McLaren, and he's been there, but he's up against Piastri, and it's like
he's got this new guy that's just come in.
Yeah, he's got
Melburnian.
But being able to contextualize that because you've got all that information from Drive to Survive, which you otherwise would not have had.
Yeah. That's so true.
And so it's one thing to have the thing, but the storytelling, with how much of a legend is Michael Jordan now, and how much more did that increase because of The Last Dance? We all just look at him. We all looked at him like a god before, but now he's just like,
The Last Dance was epic.
He cemented his legacy, and that was just like you got the background of what you saw on court, and it's like he backed it all up.
That's so interesting about The Last Dance, because it really was the story of the Chicago Bulls, but it couldn't be the story of the Chicago Bulls without being the story of Michael Jordan.
Yeah, because sometimes people just need a star.
Yeah.
Like the UFC, for example. Like,
That's a good one.
They were at their best and selling the most pay-per-views when Conor McGregor was fighting.
Absolutely.
And so they always are looking for a star. They tried to make it. Do you watch UFC?
Yeah.
So they tried to make it Sugar Sean O'Malley. And, he's a good fighter.
Sugar Sean. He's a star.
He's a star, but he's not that Conor McGregor.
Well, he's not.
And in boxing.
No one is.
In boxing, I think
no one is. He was special.
Yeah, in boxing, they're looking for that, like, Floyd Mayweather level of hype. And Floyd Mayweather wasn't, like, the most exciting to watch because he was a very defensive, wasn't always getting the finishes and stuff like that. But then I think, having someone like Tyson Fury come along and, the way he was,
Sure.
he was
the Gypsy King.
the Gypsy King.
And that story.
Yeah. But he also had he's really incredible to watch.
Yeah.
Because he's, for someone that isn't, built like an athlete, with the back fat and stuff like that, he fucking just smashes people. Yeah. And, the way he almost lost some of his fights even made him a better superstar. Like when Deontay Wilder, had him on the floor and he gets back up and just finishes it.
Yeah.
That's what made him a bit more of a legend.
Yeah. So if we take those examples, how's the coffee industry in comparison to those examples? Like as an industry, what does it have? Because I know you mentioned this before, World Barista Championships, things like that. How are the stories in the coffee industry developing?
Well, this is the thing. I think that coffee is very much in its infancy as an industry. We're actually quite a young industry compared to wine and things like that. But there are World Barista Championships. I'm going obviously in Milan. That's where I'll be.
Oh, is that what you're going for?
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
I like Milan.
And I'm. It's interesting you bring this up because I rave about it all the time on my podcast. Is that we need to tell those stories of the individuals that are there.
Yeah.
Before the event,
where they came from,
because that's what makes the event a bit more special. Which I've got a lot of work for myself to do in the lead up in the next couple of weeks to try and get some of that done.
Yeah.
But just telling those stories about the people will be where it's at in the future, and hopefully there's investment from someone like a Netflix or something like that. That eventually wants to get around it.
Why not?
Because the last two people that have won, one guy's name is Boram. He's like this. His parents are Korean, but he's Brazilian.
Right.
So
Interesting.
grew up in Brazil, and
So he looks Korean, but
he's like one of the most handsome looking motherfuckers you'll ever see.
Yeah, those Koreans are.
But this guy's on another level.
Really?
Yeah. I'm looking at him like, damn.
I am jealous.
Yeah, and
I'm not jealous, but
Yeah, he's put together well. And then there's another guy from Indonesia called Mikhail Jasin, and he's like a god over there. And I interviewed him in Jakarta this year.
Wow.
At a trade show, and from when he was walking to where he was to me, people are following him. He's getting his outfits changed and stuff like that.
He's a barista.
Yeah, he's a barista, but he's like a superstar.
Incredible.
in Jakarta, and everyone knows him around the world in the coffee industry as well. But the infamy of this thing's only growing.
I've got to see this to believe it, man.
Oh yeah, no, well,
I've got to go to one of these events someday.
Well, the Melbourne, the Australian representative at the World Barista Championship is from Melbourne. His name's Jack Simpson.
Right.
Good friend of mine. And I'm hoping he can get the W this year.
Right. And that's so he's competing in Milan against your handsome Korean Brazilian guy.
Well, those guys are all done, so they won't be returning. But
right.
But the level of interest has never been higher in that as well. And I hope one day we'll have that. You'll have that level of attention that cooking gets.
Yeah.
In coffee.
So you've we'll go back to the podcast then. So you've had a few attempts at the podcast, and now you've settled on the coffee show. How many episodes are you in? Because you didn't have episode numbers, so I was trying to flick through, and then I was like, oh, there's a lot. I'm not going to be able to count all these. How many episodes are you in, and how long has it been since you started that one?
Oh, probably nearly 50, and I started that in March.
Just this year?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, so
that's extremely productive.
Yeah, well, so I've been disciplined doing it every week, but obviously I've done more than weekly because when I went to Jakarta, for example, I was at a trade show and I did 5 interviews a day.
Right.
And so when I go on these trips, I make it I'm very productive with I do treat it as work.
Brilliant.
I've got an end goal in mind where I'm trying to cement myself as one of the premier podcast in coffee.
Yep.
Obviously I've got to do work to be able to get that status.
Yeah.
And so I do work really hard, and I don't pocket the money I get from sponsorship. I just reinvest it in being able to go travel.
Well, let's talk about the sponsorship for a second.
Yeah.
What has that looked like? What's the journey from starting your podcast to getting sponsorship? You started in March. We are, for anyone watching, it's 2025. We are in currently start of October at the point of recording this episode. So you've been able to acquire sponsorship really quickly. Is that something that you sought out, yourself, or was it just an opportunity that presented itself?
Yeah, I've definitely sorted out initially.
Yeah.
But I invested a lot of money in getting the equipment and stuff like that. Like,
Yep.
The microphones aren't expensive, and I got 2 cameras and stuff like that. Bought all the lighting. For
Yep.
like 20 grand worth of equipment.
Such a different setup to this.
Yeah, it's and
I'm envious of those setups. Believe me, I am.
well, it costs money.
But that's not me.
And you don't necessarily need it right here, but like I want to be able to have like for me, it's like credibility.
Yep.
And then for advertisers, the people that want to sponsor and advertise, it's like, wow, they want to be associated with someone that obviously produces good stuff,
Yep.
have good guests on. I'm finding now it's less about having a good guest and more about having a good product.
Yeah.
So like having something that's actually worth listening to, having something that gives people value.
Yeah.
Like I've had some big names in the coffee industry on my podcast, but the numbers aren't always necessarily as high.
Yeah.
Whereas you have something that's like the one I did with Fabian. It's like how to open a cafe on a shoestring budget.
Very high. That was a high value. I'm not even interested in opening a cafe.
Yeah.
But his countdown of the 10 top things I resonated with those.
Exactly.
I got value out of those as a non-coffee owner. I was able to contextualize the things that he was saying. For example, blood, sweat and tears or something like that. Look, there was a few points from his top 10 countdown of the top 10 things that I was thinking in my head as I was rolling into work that day. This totally applies in my industry.
That's it. I was just about to ask you. It's like, what lesson can you learn from that as Louis Diaz that's not necessarily a barista, not going to open a cafe, but what value is there that you can listen to or take from it? Or in fact, that there is something that you can take value of and take something away from in your own life is what makes it more listenable or what makes someone want to even listen to it in the first place.
100%.
So like, and that's kind of how you grow these things. For example, having the thumbnail on YouTube, like I've learned that that's actually really important to getting people to view because people are just scrolling through hundreds of the videos and the first thing they see and the placing of the letters and all that stuff, really valuable.
Consistent. The branding.
Yep, the title of your episode, really important. Instead of naming the guest first, I'm switching. I'm like topic first, then guest. And like all those things really matter.
Yeah.
And you relate this back to sponsorship. Obviously, the views is one thing, but for me, like coffee's a really my podcast is really fertile advertising ground because everyone that listens to it is involved in coffee. So anyone who advertises it, it's like, well, the value, like the rate of people spending might be higher because I'm not. It's like a really fertile advertising space.
100%, and that's only going to grow. To your point earlier, like it's not. I don't think it's going to go backwards. But then, so you sort out the sponsorship. Who did you approach to sponsor you? Or
different companies. So like I've got one that's like an equipment sponsor called Time More. And so they
coffee equipment.
Yeah, so they make like kettles and stuff like that. And,
cool.
Coffee grinders and stuff, mostly for home baristas.
Yeah.
So they're one. Then there's another one called Barista Group that's coming on, and they sell machinery in Australia where, like, so for example, one of the machines I'll have at this new cafe, it's called the Uber Milk Plus. It'll automatically steam 5 different milks.
Oh, nice.
It costs $45,000.
Crazy.
Yeah, so it's like as expensive as a car.
Yeah.
And so me and my business partner are getting one.
Yeah.
But a staff member across the whole year costs like more than $60,000.
Right.
So like in year 1, it pays itself off.
Yeah.
And so, but like it might actually be worth 2 staff members a year across the whole year because of how efficient it is.
Yeah.
So, like for him to advertise with me, like he sees a lot of value in that because if he gets even like 5 sales, then it's worth it for him.
Yeah.
And then I've got another one, Oatly, who's coming on. They're, helping me go to Berlin and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, they obviously see value in it because they want to be like, it's a competitive industry for them. And, they need, it's more valuable to do it on a podcast like mine than it is just on YouTube to like everyone. Yeah. So, they're picking their battles, probably cheaper as well.
How much in sponsorship do you have at the moment, if you don't mind me asking?
If
you don't, you'd have to give me a dollar figure.
Well, over the next 6 months, it'll probably work out to be like close to 60 grand.
Right.
So
Incredible.
yeah, well, it's good because, but what I'm going to use that on is things like traveling,
Yeah.
buying a few extra pieces of equipment to make it better. Because I operate a lot of the equipment on my own now,
Yeah.
set it up on my own. I don't have a producer or anything with me, but sometimes I've done it and I've not realized the camera's not focused properly.
Yeah.
So I've ever recorded the whole episode and the camera's not focused properly, and it pissed me off. So now I'm going to get like a field monitor so I can see.
Sorry, I was just looking at this camera.
Oh yeah, so now I can get a field monitor to see what like I'm doing,
Uh-huh.
and
Okay.
then as the listeners improve even more, then I can probably charge a bit more.
So you're investing in being able to, getting better at telling the stories.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
stories are there to be told.
Mm.
It's like, how can I just improve my setup so that I can tell those stories in a way,
Yeah,
more
but you
professional.
got to have the foundations right.
Yeah.
Like it's all well and good to have these dreams and have all these people on, but if you do those little foundational things better and better each time, then
Yeah.
you create like a better product going forward.
Well, I'm going to have to pick your brains about that
Well,
stuff.
of course, but like go like 6 months from now, like what do I want to work on for that? It's like, all right, we'll get the thumbnails even better, get more subscribers on YouTube,
Yeah.
get a system that's automated. Like I've spoken to the guy that edits all my stuff, and it's like, because I select what I see a lot of value in is getting reels, like
Yeah.
for TikTok and Instagram and shit
Yeah.
like that. And so currently what I do is I rewatch every episode and I say cut from here to here. So
Yeah.
it could be like 10 minutes to 10 minutes 50. I want that package as a reel.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
I do all that myself.
Yeah.
But
Because you know what the value,
Well-
you know that the value, your editor doesn't know. Your editor doesn't know anything about coffee, let's just say.
yeah, but one of my plans is though to get him pretty much employed by me full time. And so that he doesn't have to worry about any other thing, and we can just invest in get him trained up
Nice.
so that I can just automate all that sort of stuff.
That's great. Your own personal Jamie.
Yeah, and yeah, like I'd love to. And then also having, I want to start doing a second episode per week that's like different from the first. So I want to increase my production.
Right. What does that look like? Give me an example.
Well, for example, like one episode a week right now, I usually interview a guest.
Yeah.
But I want to have another one where it's like kind of like more episodes like the one with Fabian, where it's like, what can I do this week to improve whatever I'm doing in coffee or life?
Yeah.
So it could be 1 week like I want to accounting, how to do your accounting better for your business. So like I'll research it and I'll come up with some facts, and it's like, you listen to that, you can go implement in your life the next day, or from when you hang up stop listening to the podcast. So I want to have one that's like like a guest,
Yeah. The
and then one
stories.
that's like a value,
Yeah.
like really taking something out. And then obviously I've got some goals with YouTube as well. I really want to go to Panama and make a documentary next year.
Really?
Yeah.
What for? What's in Panama?
The world's best coffee is in Panama.
Really?
The world's best coffee is in Panama.
As in, like, how much better than the next place?
Oh, well, like
It sounds like it's a lot better.
like a lot of countries grow really amazing coffee,
Yeah.
but the best of the best is in Panama. Because it's got
Imagine
this
that.
quality around it. It's like really floral and delicate, and like you drink it, and it's like, is this coffee? And it's just full of like these yummy fruity flavors.
So that's above the equator. Yeah, that's above the equator.
but it's really high.
Tropical.
Tropical,
Mountainous.
but mountainous, so volcanic soil.
Volcanic soil.
And they also have like high altitudes. It's like 2,000 meters above sea level, and at that altitude the temperature's lower, so like it's better growing conditions for the cherries.
Interesting.
They develop more sugars and stuff like that, and so they've just got this really great combination of like where they're positioned,
Yeah.
and the genetics of the plants they grow and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Anyway, so a coffee this year sold for $30,000 a kilo. Yeah.
Wait, take us back to the 88 cents.
Oh yeah, so this is like commodity grade coffee. So coffee is scored from 0 to 100,
Right.
right? So
okay.
you cup it and you assess its quality based on like the acidity level, the aftertaste, yada yada yada. So it's a pretty good standardized system now. And so anything below 80 is considered commodity grade coffee.
Right. Okay.
Anything above 80 is specialty grade coffee.
Right.
And So most of what you would have in your latte is like between 80 and 84 sort of thing.
Sure.
And then anything that's like $90, 90 points is like, you're now looking at paying $100 a kilo for that coffee. Whereas like a few years ago, it might have been 50.
And so what about this $30,000 a kilo batch?
So that was a coffee that scored 98 points.
That's never been scored that high before?
I don't think there's ever been a score that high.
So there's no 100. There's no 100 has ever existed.
Some people scored that coffee 100.
That's like the Don Bradman of coffees.
It is. So it's like some people score that coffee 100, but the way they do it is they do it as an average. So like 40 people assess this coffee.
That's
and
fair.
it received an average score of 98,
That's wild.
which is crazy. And someone in Dubai bid $30,000 a kilo for it, and obviously can purchase it. And I got to try that coffee actually.
You did?
Yeah.
And?
It was phenomenal. Like it's kind of like, would I pay $30,000 a kilo for
If
it?
you
No.
had $30,000 to
Oh,
pay.
yeah. There you
if
go.
if you were in the UAE and you had more money than the
It's-
rest of the world.
But yeah, it was a phenomenal cup of coffee.
So what have they done with? I wonder what they've done with that coffee. Are they sticking it in their own home cafe, or have someone bought it for a cafe in the?
Yeah. So the people that bought it actually, the business had opened that week. So I think as like a marketing sort of thing
That's a
to put
PR stunt.
themselves on the map, they've gone and dropped all this money on coffee. And they actually had to buy 20 kilos of it. So all up,
It's a minimum 20 kilo purchase.
yeah. So it was
That's nice.
all up, it was
600 grand.
600 grand.
Yeah,
That US that they had to spend on it. So obviously that's a lot of money to
that's
part
$1
with.
million Australian dollars worth
Yep.
of coffee.
Yep.
Yeah, close.
Yep. And they're selling it over there for $700 US a cup.
What?
Yeah, for one cup is $700.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Now, if I think about what you were talking about earlier, which is like, then your grinder's got to be right, then this is right, or if your water's not right, you're going to burn it.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many ways they can that up.
Yep. Yep. They're going to make some bad ones with that coffee, which is always the risk.
That's
with
tragic.
Coffee.
That's
It is.
tragic.
It is. But
You bought the 98 grade coffee, and you stuck it in the $30 grinder from Kmart.
well, they won't be doing that.
I know they won't be doing that, but that's
Yeah.
just a really crude example of
It would be a shame if that happened.
Yeah.
But I know some of the people that actually are working there, and
They probably bought the best equipment you can buy as well.
yeah, look, like they got the whole shebang, so to speak. So I know they'll make it well.
Yeah.
But even to be in that position where you can buy a coffee for that much money is pretty hectic. And some of the other coffees that, because the previous record before that was $13,000 US a kilo.
Dude, this is crazy.
Yeah.
This world that you've just introduced me to today, I'm like just sitting here. I'm absolutely gobsmacked by all this.
But we've had this situation with wine for years now. Like there's, really,
Sure.
we all know-
Centuries.
centuries. And so coffee's like now got this luxury element to it. That same coffee, like
Sure.
5 years ago, probably would have gone for like less than $1,000.
So you're right. So when we go back to like my question before about comparing, the coffee industry to the basketball thing, the Netflix series on Formula One, you said that it's a very nascent industry.
Yeah, it's like it's very much in its infancy.
Only just starting to pop off.
Yeah,
In terms of its historical,
yes,
existence.
Yes.
Coffee's been around for a really long time, but now 2025, 2020 and beyond.
the interest is just going berserker because there's so much more information for you now. There's like creators and things like that, and
Yeah.
oh hello, yeah. But and like this is another thing that drives me. Like
Yeah.
if you're the first in for something, then you're kind of rewarded. So like if I do well with a coffee podcast sort of
Yeah.
thing, then you forever establish myself.
I'm invested in this now.
So that's why I'm working hard.
Yeah.
And I think it's going well so far.
Oh, I would
So-
say it's going very well. You've got your own cafe. You're about to open a second. You've got a podcast. It's got sponsors. You're traveling around the world. You're being invited to. It's being paid for. I'd say you're really living a kind of life at the moment on face value of the perks that most people strive for, without appreciating all of the hard yards that you've put in to get here. You've made it.
Thank you. That's really nice to hear you say. But
You're making it.
on the way here, I was thinking to myself, I'm also like one bad week away from it all being like just collapsing.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, like it's not like I'm super, like I was saying, I invest everything back in, which takes its own risk.
You're taking risks.
Yeah,
You're
and
taking
so like
the necessary risks.
so if there was like another COVID lockdown, that
They won't
for
do
the for the cafe, like that would completely break me.
they couldn't pull that off again. Man.
They couldn't. They couldn't. The government couldn't guarantee everyone.
Society's
Yeah.
they're too scarred from the last one.
Yeah, but
And they know the value of getting
but if something of that magnitude happened again, I'm totally screwed because I'm in debt, and the podcast might do well.
yeah.
But like, it just like a lot of people like, it looks like I'm doing great, and like I am, like
Sure.
I've worked really hard for it, but like, I'm like one bad week could crush me.
Yeah.
Because it's the same with so many businesses and so many other people.
Yeah.
Like if something bad really happened, like, and that's one of the reason I say this is like, I'm always got to be like aware of that.
Yeah.
And not get too complacent.
Yeah.
And just keep grinding away.
Yeah, so it's really about managing the economics of it. So to make sure that wherever you're bringing income in, you're able to, pull levers where necessary to keep that alive.
But it could be the same with you, Louis. Like you could, if you lost your
cooked.
job, like
Well,
and you couldn't get it.
I did.
When?
Did I tell you that?
When?
In July.
Oh yeah, well yeah, but you got a new one.
I sure did.
But if you didn't get a new one,
Well,
you're a few bad weeks away from,
didn't I know it at
Yeah.
the time?
yeah.
I had no plan. I had no plan B.
Mm.
I was cooked, and I did nothing about it. I was resigned to my fate, and I messaged one guy, and he just happened to be the right guy. I messaged one guy just to say goodbye, and it turns out he messaged me back saying, "I've got a job for you." I wasn't even looking for a job from him.
Isn't that always like like the way it is? Like never burn your bridges, because like some people just come back. Sometimes one of the most important things about relationships can at times be how you end them.
Yeah.
Because if you end them on a bad note, like say for example, you quit a job and you tell the boss yourself on the way, then you apply for a job at another place, and he asked your old boss for a reference, and he's like, like that didn't work out for you, did it?
He walked. It's in the same building on the same floor,
Well, there you
different
go.
business. He walked past my old boss, and I'd stopped him and introduced him. My old boss was like, best employee I've had. Can't afford him,
So there you go.
and he took me out to lunch yesterday.
Yeah, well there you go.
So I'm a real life example of what you're saying. Essentially, it's not what you're saying isn't just like theoretical. It's fact. I've played it out, and it is a thing of beauty. I think some bridges need to be burned for people, and those are the bad bridges. We all gone down that track where we've got addicted to something, and we've ended up in environments that we know aren't good for us. You got to burn those bridges. Those bridges need to be burned, and sometimes it comes with relationships, but you know that you're better off not in that scene or with those people anymore, or that you deserved better, and you know what, things don't. That's not your tribe. That's not your people.
But sometimes even concluding that civilly can be an advantage.
That's true.
So, like, say for example,
I
you
agree.
cut connections with a friend that's just too deep in the web with drugs, right? But you've not treated them badly. You just kind of made a decision for yourself, and you being a friend with them is no longer good for you.
Yeah.
But then a few years later, they get
so
clean or
true.
whatever, and they come back to you and they say, "Oh, well, like
That's really true.
I really appreciate the things you did for me." That's actually a
No.
roundabout way of a relationship progressing.
That is really true, and I can say that I burnt certain bridges in the past that are unfortunate that I have, because I felt like it was the right thing for me to do at the time. But now I've seen that I'm going like, okay, well, that's just the way I had to deal with it at the time, but it probably wasn't the best way in the long term. And I do agree with that. Relationships are everything. That's probably like the key thread that's pieced all of this, chat together.
Yeah.
It's about relationships.
Yeah.
And I was going to say earlier that, like, Dale Carnegie wrote the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, 80, 90 years ago. And it says in like the opening sort of epilogue or whatever you call it, part of the book, that Dale started running these human relations courses, just basic ones at like a university. And he found that the classes were getting more and more and more and more full with people every week. Every week they were just more and more people attending and asking questions. And then eventually got him to the point where he had so much IP from running those little courses that turned into big courses that he wrote the book, right? But in the epilogue it says the number one question that people had 100 years ago, right? Think about that, was how to be better at relating to other humans. Wouldn't you think that in the 1930s that we would have been better at that than we are now, that would have been less of a need than it is now? No, his book says it's always been a need. It's always been a desire for people to figure out how to get along better with their fellow man.
Even in an era when you've got hyper connectivity, like.
I mean, they're all, what are they doing? They're just, there's no TV. Like, there's just newspapers, right? So, if back then it was a need, then surely now it's a need, and surely in the future it'll be more of a need. I think relationships it's been a nice way to sort of piece all this together, because I've enjoyed listening to your story and, all the threads that we've gone on. And it's nice to hear someone talk about the importance of relationships. We don't talk about it enough, and it's so true. And I'm really, like, it's nice to hear you talk about, oh, I know I've met this person, I met that person. Oh, that cafe that bought the $30,000 coffee, I know people that are working there. I've had the world's best barista, I'm friends with them. It's like, what? Like, it sounds like that, you say you're 1 week away from from it all going pear-shaped. I doubt that. I honestly think that if adversity struck you would find a way, because of the resilience that you've built from the things that you've already been through. You've already been through a pandemic, which never happened before. You've already been through, your personal circumstances with your mum. You've built the resilience. You've built the relationships. You're building the business. Mate, whenever that day happens, you're one phone call away from landing on your feet.
It's a good way. It's actually very comforting to hear you say that. Like, I sometimes think of myself as a cockroach that just won't die. Like, I just even through a nuclear storm, like, I'll just, like, because you have those moments where it's like, that are the theoretical nuclear storms, like. But just sometimes I appreciate you saying that, because, like, it's good to be on someone else's podcast actually, than rather than host my own. Because obviously I get to tell that, which is kind of like, a relief in a lot of ways. But you got a good thing going here, man. I reckon.
I appreciate it. Man.
You know what I was thinking though?
Yeah.
Camera hanging off that thing up there,
dude. I've been thinking that for ages.
Yeah. You need a camera hanging right up there.
No. I've been thinking this for ages, and I've just, because I've spent a bit of money on this kit, and I've only just bought this new version of the Insta360. I've just thought I want to get like the Insta360, just the basic, the one that shoots forward, like the GoPro version of it, and hang it up there. But I've thought that that's too high, so I thought, you see my hooks up there. I've thought, and you know how like the GoPro sort of comes with like this attachment that you can stick on your dash and then screw the stick into. I've thought about putting one of those up there, like just the sticky bit, right, and just spraying over it so it's camoed, and then every time I come, I just hook the stick in and.
Oh, you should, yeah,
and just on that door.
Even if you somehow. Because, like, I
have thought about that.
That will take you to the next level. Like, because you know what that'll do?
It's just another camera to manage, but yeah.
I know, but it's these little extra efforts.
I know.
In reality, it's 5 to 10 minutes every time.
There's one here. There's another one here.
Yeah.
I could stick one here. I could stick one there.
Yeah, but getting the ambiance here, like, this isn't just.
Who's going to sponsor me so I can buy 3 more cameras?
Oh, you should hit up a camera company and like pitch it to them.
And just go, listen, guys,
Man, you know what you
give
should
the
do?
guy a hand.
If you're, I mean, I'll do it for you one time. I'll come here and I'll sit here and I'll film you.
You know.
Yeah, no, I
I don't
will.
want to waste your time like that.
Yeah, but if it helps the brother out, like this,
Yeah.
because if you film it from that angle here, where you get all the people coming through, and like you pitch that to a camera company, that I think would be like, I want to, like they would see a lot of interest in sponsoring you. Like,
Yeah, right there where those people are.
Yep.
Just above the QR code above them. Just have that stick there.
Yep.
And just have the camera there. Just
Even if you hang it off that grate up there,
it's
and
too high.
Yeah,
It's too high.
I don't know, but
I reckon there would be spot on.
Yep.
Or where the orange paint is.
you're
Bang.
definitely at risk of getting it stolen there. But
Nah, trust me. People are so respectful here.
Oh, well, if
even
you bang it.
even the rough ones.
Okay. But
Please,
I
if I
think
saw someone touching it, as if I wouldn't be like, hey,
that you need that angle. You need it. I'm
Yeah.
telling you. Like that'll if I were you, that's going up.
well,
next,
you know
next,
that this
next
is
week.
capturing all those people anyway, right?
Oh yeah,
You
but
know
like,
that
but it's
they're all being seen from that view, but they're not what they're not being. Yes, you're right. And when I export this file out, like the Kirk file, that's the field of view that you're going to get. So in your file, you got to see this online, man. You got to watch. It's open up on YouTube, because when you go to the single person frame, you'll get the sign in and everything happening around to where Richmond thing is, right? The tiger is up on
Yep.
that wall. You get all the people walking through.
yeah.
So I'm
but-
already capturing a lot of the ambience, but you're right. That is my missing piece. I have been thinking about that for a
Yeah.
long time.
100%. And, not that the average listener would really give a fuck about this, but like, it.
Well, exactly. Most people
but
are listening, not
have you
watching.
Have you ever watched Mr. Beast videos?
Yeah.
You got to listen to the podcast he did on the Diary of a CEO. Really,
I think I have.
because he like the way he talks about like getting those extra camera reviews and being obsessive about all those little things. It's like it's what actually takes him to the next level above
Yeah.
other people, because he's
Yeah.
willing to go places other people aren't.
Yeah.
And like that's
Yeah.
kind of
Well, that's this.
like in apply like that to my own situation. It's like, all right, to actually grow, I need to travel
Beastified.
to go get in contact with these people, and because I was really focused on growing my audience outside of Australia.
Yeah.
And it was like 75% or 80% like a couple of months ago. It's now Australia's now 49%. So like I've worked on that, but
Yep.
you need to target it. And I reckon you start with that camera angle up there, you're on your way to.
All right. Well, stay tuned. That'll be a couple of weeks, but I didn't want to do it with a cheap. Like, I want to buy a nice version. I might try the DJI camera, because I reckon after this Insta360, when DJI's released maybe one or two more models in a couple of years of their 360 camera that they just brought out version 1 of like a month ago, I'm going to switch from Insta to DJI.
Yeah.
Because I have the little mic minis as well.
No,
So-
this is way too cool of a situation to not be doing that.
I know. It's really like it's good.
Have you thought
special.
about doing like a Q&A podcast where you get like other randoms to?
Well, in my breaks. So once you're off, I'll have a little break here, and people do come over and say hi. And I had one guy once sit down for 6 minutes, and another guy do an hour with me.
yeah, sick.
Yeah.
That's like
People don't feel like they can, like, people generally don't feel like they can ask to sit down. And I don't really want to ask people, because I need a break too.
what's an episode of yours that you think I should go listen to after this? What's like one that you'd recommend? Having had this discussion, like what would you tailor for me?
Gosh, that's a really interesting one, because you're so diverse. Like, you've got such a interesting background that we've covered so many topics as well. But I think there's a couple of ones that I didn't film. Oh, there's one that I didn't film here. Thad Cummings, episode, I think 26 or something, 27, 24, maybe. His is great. His is all about life going tough and resilience and everything. And I reckon you would really like the way this guy talks. But of the Hosier Lane editions, that's a tough one. Troy King, episode 57, episode, this one, episode 87 with Rosalind Fu, a local marketing professor,
Mm-hmm.
a Melbourne-based marketing professor.
Rosalind Fu.
Yeah,
Oh.
episode 87. We talk about marketing. She brought food from a friend's cafe, Raya, R-A-Y.
Raya, yeah.
So that she's friends with the guy who owns it, Raymond or something, and she brought some of his food for us to eat here. She's interesting.
I
'cause
should have
talk
brought
about
you a
marketing.
coffee in hindsight.
Should.
Sorry, I'm a dog.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
I'll do it next time.
We should do a coffee sometime. We'll do
Yeah.
this again.
Yeah.
You've enjoyed it. I've
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
We've maxed out.
Yeah. Well, I'll bring a coffee setup and I'll brew one here next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how about we do this again, like once you come back?
Yeah. No, man.
Yeah,
I'm in.
and
I
you
fucking
can
love
tell me
this.
all about the Copenhagen and Germany, Berlin thing, and I can sit here just enviously thinking, God, I need to start a coffee podcast. No, I would never do that because I know nothing about it.
Mate, you play your cards right. This will be bigger than mine for sure.
No way.
100%. Look at all the people that stopping and filming and
Bro,
thinking,
you
"Fuck
started
yeah."
a podcast 8 months ago, 6 months ago, and it's already killing.
Yeah, but it can only get so big because it's coffee. Yours is so much more big and broad.
But
than
you
that.
know how big the coffee industry is. That's enough to sustain someone into a very, very good lifestyle. And you play your cards right. Let's both play our cards right.
Yep.
I'm invested in that.
All right,
It's been good, man.
done deal.
It's been great to have you on. I've got to now go and take a toilet break.
Yeah, me too.
But this has been fantastic. I've really enjoyed it. I'm going to clap it out. Did I clap it in before? I did.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to clap it out.
All right.
1, 2, 3. Kirk Pearson. It's been a pleasure.
No, been a pleasure. Thank you.
Woo! Yeah.
Oh.
How good's that?